Chapter 1160. The jade green lotus platform spun slowly, and 6 lotus petals bloomed. It was emerald green, and filled with a multicolored light. It was extremely extraordinary. All the cultivators looked over in shock. Was that the legendary utmost treasure of the universe, the creation Qinglian? Didn't they say that the creation Qinglian was shattered by a half-martial ancestor expert? Why was it reappearing now? Something's not right. A cultivator said in a deep voice. This isn't the complete form of the creation Qinglian. The true grade 6 creation Qinglian is much stronger than this lotus platform. He had witnessed with his own eyes a Qinglian that soared into the skies and tore through the clouds in the Dao inheritance ground, shrouded in chaos qi. The lotus leaves blotted out the skies and the stem was green like jade. The Qinglian swayed, and the entire firmament trembled. The impact of that scene, and the power that shook one's mind was unforgettable. The Dao Lord of Heavenly Piercing Sword sect reacted quickly as well. However, Su Zimo did not give him a chance at all. Closing his fingers, he conjured a sword art and slashed forward. Qi. A bedazzling sword qi surged out along Su Zimo's sword fingers. Instantly, countless stars with chaotic trajectories appeared in the skies. The killing intent of the heavens was to shift the stars. The Dao Lord of Heavenly Piercing Sword sect felt his hair stand on end. Even he felt his heart skip a beat at the sharpness of that sword qi. Just as he was about to make a move, Su Zimo willed, and the creation Qinglian turned into a green beam of light that collided fiercely towards him. The Dao Lord of Heavenly Piercing Sword sect swung his sword to defend. The heaven-slaying sword qi had already descended. There was no time to dodge at all. He could only free a hand and conjure hand seals to conjure a sword qi barrier that buzzed endlessly, wanting to block the heaven-slaying sword qi. Clang! 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 Although they were both sword daos, the collision of the two completely different sword daos created a sword qi storm instantly. The extremely sharp sword qi storm swept over and engulfed the Dao Lord of Heavenly Piercing Sword sect instantly. Before long, the storm dissipated. The Dao Lord of Heavenly Piercing Sword sect stood motionlessly on the spot, and the light in his eyes faded gradually. Qi! Qi! Streaks of blood suddenly appeared on his cheeks and neck, and blood gushed out from them. Sword scars also appeared on his body. Swept by the sword qi storm, the Dao Lord of Heavenly Piercing Sword sect had his vitality destroyed and his spirit destroyed. That scene caused an uproar among the crowd. Even if Su Zimo were to kill all the void reversion paragons present, most cultivators would still be able to withstand it. After all, Araki Takashi had been famous for a long time. If he didn't have some trump cards, he would have been killed long ago. But after Araki Takashi's body was destroyed, he was still able to surpass a great realm and kill Dharma Daojun. This was a bit terrifying. Araki Takashi, you attacked us first. Don't blame us for killing you. Dao Lord Muyu said coldly. Many Dharma Daojun took advantage of the situation to surround him. All the Dharma Daojun present had lived for thousands of years and were discerning. They could tell that although the sword qi released by Araki Takashi was extremely powerful, the third sword qi was clearly an arrow at the end of its flight. There were thousands of paragons at the North Region Dao meet. Endless dharmic arts descended at the same time. Even if Araki Takashi could defend against them, the drain on his essence, spirit, and dharmic powers was immense. Araki Takashi could not hold on for much longer. What's with all the nonsense? Su Zimo reached out and touched his glabella gently. Green rays of light burst forth from his glabella. In his sea of consciousness, the 54 green lotus seeds continued to condense, forming a dark green longsword. Slay! Su Zimo pointed forward, and the Qinglian sword burst forth, descending above Dao Lord Muyu's head instantly. The Qinglian sword was a killing technique that targeted one's essence spirit, and was extremely sharp. The Dharma Daojun present sensed the aura of the Qinglian sword, and was shocked. He retreated instinctively, wanting to avoid the sharpness of the Qinglian sword. Dao Lord Muyu wanted to retreat as well. However, he knew that no matter how fast his movement technique was, he could not be faster than the speed of the Qinglian sword. Without hesitation, Dao Lord Muyu channeled his essence spirit and released his essence spirit secret skill. His massive spirit consciousness condensed continuously, transforming into a gigantic vine that coiled towards the Qinglian sword that was slashing down. "Everyone help me!" At the same time, Dao Lord Muyu roared. Although the Qinglian sword was powerful, the Dharma Daojun present could definitely shatter it if they attacked at the same time. As long as he could defend for a moment, the other Dharma Daojun would react and help him, and he would be able to escape this calamity. Unfortunately, his essence spirit secret skill could not defend against the killing power of the Qinglian sword at all. A green light burst forth with an endless sharpness and sliced the vine that was coiling over into two. Thereafter, the Qinglian sword entered Dao Lord Muyu's glabella. Poof! Many cultivators seemed to be able to hear the sound of Dao Lord Muyu's essence spirit being shattered. Dao Lord Muyu's expression darkened as he fell from midair. There were no wounds on his body. However, his consciousness was empty and his essence spirit had already been sliced into nothingness by the Qinglian sword. Kill! Bang! 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 It was only at that moment that many essence spirit secret skills arrived and struck the Qinglian sword, shattering it into pieces. The Qinglian sword shattered into 54 dim Qinglian seeds and returned to the creation lotus platform. As long as he had enough time to nourish them, the strength of the Qinglian seeds would recover to its original state. "Araki Takashi, let's see how many tricks you have left," the Dao Lord of Yin Ghost Sect said sinisterly. All of a sudden, a blurry figure appeared behind him. Like a phantom, it suddenly reached out and grabbed the Dao Lord of Yin Ghost Sect. I was already prepared. The Dao Lord of Yin Ghost Sect's figure swayed and vanished from the spot, leaving behind only his voice that was erratic. Poof! The moment he said that, the Dao Lord of Yin Ghost Sect's figure was suddenly exposed, and he froze on the spot motionlessly. His forehead was pierced by a purple object and was dripping with blood. The Dao Lord of Yin Ghost Sect was already dead. He managed to dodge the Night Spirit's claws, but could not dodge the Night Spirit's tail. "You're a demon!" Bai Ling Daojun hollered. The black-robed man had managed to hide from everyone's senses. "I've got it!" In the crowd, Uncle Zheng seemed to have thought of something and was enlightened. "Initially, I could not understand how the two imperial advisors of Great Xia and Great Shang died without a sound. Furthermore, there was still some demonic qi left in their wounds." Uncle Zheng looked at Night Spirit who was in midair and said, "The answer is him." When she heard Uncle Zheng's analysis, Yulan was silent and merely looked at the battlefield with a blank expression, as though she had lost her soul. "Princess, are you all right?" Uncle Zheng could not help but ask. "I'm fine," Yulan smiled sadly. "I finally understand what he said to me in the past. He said that as long as Araki Takashi is alive, I'll never be able to restore my dynasty or overthrow the Great Zhou dynasty." Yulan's expression dimmed as she shook her head. "He's right. The Empress of Great Zhou has Araki Takashi backing her, and I can't win. It's impossible to restore my dynasty." Uncle Zheng said nothing either. The strength displayed by Araki Takashi had indeed made him feel despair. It was a sense of helplessness. Chapter 1161. Su Zimo had a grim expression when he saw that many Dharma Daojun had joined the battle. He made a prompt decision and sent a voice transmission with his spirit consciousness. "Retreat." The consecutive battles had consumed a lot of his dharmic powers. More than half of the void reversion paragons of the North region were gathered at the North region Dao meet, including the Dharma Daojun. Although there were no Dao lords of super sects present, the combined strength of so many paragons was not to be underestimated. Although Su Zimo was strong, and even had some trump cards that could kill the Dharma Daojun, he was not strong enough to take on so many Dharma Daojun head-on. If it was only him and Night Spirit, they could escape unscathed at any time. Given Nian Qi's strength, he might be able to break out of the encirclement as well. However, the Golden Lion and Cacao might not be able to break out. The safety of the Golden Lion and Cacao had to be ensured before the battle broke out. "Nian Qi, bring Old Seven and Cacao in charge out. Night Spirit and I will cover the rear." Su Zimo sent a voice transmission and gave the order immediately. This was Qian Heaven City, and was not too far away from some of the upper sects and aristocratic families. The North Region Dao meet was held here as well. The various major sects and factions would definitely receive news of the bloody battle that broke out in Qian Heaven City. If they were trapped in the city, they would most likely be doomed by the time the mighty figures of the upper sects and aristocratic families arrived. All right, Nian Qi nodded and took the lead, charging at the front. Golden blood qi burst forth, and he was like a god as he broke through layers of obstacles and charged out of the city slowly. The Golden Lion and Cacao followed closely behind and attacked continuously, trying their best to help Nian Qi resolve the pressure. In reality, the impact they faced was not too great. That was because most of the Dharma Daojun were blocked by Su Zimo and Night Spirit and could not kill their way over. You still want to escape? Bai Ling Daojun sensed the intentions of Su Zimo and the others and said coldly with a cold expression, Araki Takashi, don't even think about leaving Qian Heaven City alive today. Demon Refinement Formation, activate. Dao White Sky roared loudly. Su Zimo's expression changed when he heard that voice. Suddenly he recalled something. Back in the intermediate ancient battlefield, he was ambushed by Glass Palace and fell into a omnidirectional demon suppression formation, and he almost died. The demon suppression formation was activated by the demon revealing mirrors on the 4 city walls. Coupled with the unique formation patterns, it could suppress the demons on the spot. On the city walls of Qian Heaven City, there was a row of demon revealing mirrors. Initially, He Daojun Demon Daoist, Qian Daojun, Suza Daojun Immortal Qiza Qian Daoan Demon Daojun. However, when he heard Bai Ling Daojun's roar, he realized that there was probably another purpose for the demon revealing mirrors on the city walls. Araki Takashi, do you think that Qian Heaven City is a place where you can come and go as you please? How important is the North Region Dao meet? How can a few beasts like you cause trouble? Many Dharma Daojun sneered. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Dharma Daojun was already standing on the city walls, conjuring hand seals repeatedly and shooting streams of dermic powers into the demon revealing mirrors beside him. Back then, the demon suppression formation only used 4 demon revealing mirrors. But now there were 10 demon revealing mirrors on each of the city walls. Furthermore, the formation of this formation was not used to suppress demons, but to refine them. It was even more powerful. Whoosh! The 10 demon revealing mirrors on the eastern city wall shot out 10 beams of light that fused into one and enveloped Su Zimo. It was the same on the southern city wall. The 10 demon revealing mirrors conjured a beam of light that sped towards Night Spirit. The demon revealing mirrors on the western and northern city walls conjured 2 beams of light that enveloped Nian Qi, the Golden Lion, and Cacao. The beam of light was way too fast. Even with Su Zimo's reaction, he could not dodge in time. He was enveloped by the beam of light. Immediately after, flames ignited within the range of the beam of light and burned towards his body. Su Zimo narrowed his eyes. The power of the demon refinement formation was indeed not weak. Even his true body Qinglian felt a scorching pain against the flames. Of course, the pain was still within a tolerance range. If not for the fact that Qinglian's true body was nourished by the primordial divine spring a year ago, she would have suffered greatly now that she was enveloped by the demon refinement formation. As the name suggested, the demon refinement formation was even more terrifying against demons. The flames caused Qinglian's true body to feel a hint of pain. It was hard to imagine what would happen if the beam of light landed on the Golden Lion and Cacao. Given the strength of the 2 lions, they would probably be burned to ashes within a few breaths. Without hesitation, Su Zimo tossed the creation lotus platform in his hands out with his spirit consciousness. The lotus platform shone with a green glow and was jade-like. It spun slowly and blocked the other beam of light that shot towards the Golden Lion and Cacao. The Golden Lion and Cacao panted slightly with pale faces and lingering fear. The third beam of light enveloped Nian Qi. Nian Qi's expression changed slightly as he hollered softly. His blood qi surged to its limits. Rumble. Boom. Boom. An ancient and mysterious pyramid appeared behind her. Countless living beings knelt on the ground with pious expressions and chanted continuously. The power of the demon refinement formation forced out Nian Qi's bloodline phenomenon. Against the illumination of the mysterious pyramid, Nian Qi was like a god that could not be looked at as he defended against the beam of light. Among the 4 beams of light, Night Spirit had the easiest time dealing with it. The beam of light was so fast that even Su Zimo could not dodge it in time. However, the beam of light could not catch up to Night Spirit at all. His movement technique was even faster than light. Against the pursuit of the beam of light, Night Spirit even had the strength to kill all the cultivators present. On the surface, it seemed like the 4 beams of light of the Demon Refinement Formation were blocked and neutralized by Su Zimo and the others. However, the Dharma Daojun knew that victory was already in their hands. The golden-haired girl was already stuck on the spot by the beam of light of the Demon Refinement Formation. Although the 2 lions were not threatened by the Demon Refinement Formation, they were most likely doomed after losing the golden-haired girl's help and being surrounded by many cultivators. As for Dao being Araki Takeshi, his combat strength was greatly reduced as well. At the very least, his Destiny Dermic weapon, the Creation Lotus platform, was locked in place by a beam of light. The only thing left was the unknown demon in black robes, who was nothing to be afraid of. Everyone, this is the time to kill that lad. Bai Ling Daojuan's aura burst forth as he hollered. That's right everyone, don't hold back. Immediately, the Dharma Daojun responded. Bang! 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 One after another, gigantic figures burst out from the bodies of the Dharma Daojun and rose from the ground. They were dozens of feet tall and looked down on the battlefield with wanton might like heavenly gods. Heaven and earth Dharma characteristics. This was the strongest method of the Dharma Daojun. Previously, Su Zimo had used his strongest trump card to kill the Dharma Daojun. He did not want to give them a chance to release their Heaven and Earth Dharma characteristics. Heaven and Earth Dharma characteristics could mobilize the power of Heaven and Earth with a single move. Even with Su Zimo's combat strength, he would find it troublesome. But now Dharma characteristics rose one after another, and stood in Qian Heaven City like mighty gods with torrential auras. Chapter 1162. Hundreds of Heaven and Earth Dharma characteristics rose against the momentum. Some were 40 feet, some were 50 feet. Bai Ling Daojuan's Heaven and Earth Dharma characteristic was even more than 60 feet tall. A Heaven and Earth Dharma characteristic that was more than 60 feet tall already had a chance of fighting for the Dharma characteristic ranking. In the face of those towering Heaven and Earth Dharma characteristics, Su Zimo and the others seemed extremely insignificant. Bang! 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 Almost at the same time, hundreds of Heaven and Earth Dharma characteristics charged over. Their massive bodies swayed, and their feet stomped on the ground, causing the entire city to tremble. A so-called Dharma characteristic was actually a summary of cultivation, condensation, all Dharmic returning to one. Many Dharmic arts and secret skills would eventually converge to a single point to form a Dharma characteristic that belonged to oneself. Dharma characteristics could communicate with Heaven and Earth and mobilize the power of Heaven and Earth to its greatest extent. The power of Heaven and Earth was strong and unstoppable. Even if a cultivator's physique was weak, the Heaven and Earth Dharma characteristic they cultivated could allow them to fight demons in melee combat. Only at the Dharma characteristic realm would cultivators be truly fearless of demons in melee combat. The power of hundreds of Heaven and Earth Dharma characteristics was released at the same time. It was practically apocalyptic. Su Zimo was only at the Void Reversion realm. Even if his essence spirit was strong and comparable to a Dharma characteristic, he had yet to condense a Heaven and Earth Dharma characteristic, and could not defend against the impact of that power. Even the Night Spirit did not dare to take those Heaven and Earth Dharma characteristics head-on. Not far behind him, Nian Qi and the Golden Lion were already trapped on the spot, and could not advance. The situation was starting to change. As time passed by, Nian Qi and the others would be in an increasingly difficult situation. Su Zimo let out a long howl, and touched his glabella gently. His consciousness opened up and lightning flashed within. Crackle! Su Zimo pulled outwards, and pulled out a long whip from his consciousness. It was bedazzling with azure lightning arcs. Spirit Vanquishing Whip. Su Zimo's dharmic powers could not defend against the impact of so many heaven and earth dharma characteristics. However, his essence spirit was not weaker than the Tao Lords present. Furthermore, the spirit vanquishing whip was an essence spirit secret skill created by the Thunder Emperor and was extremely powerful. Pa! Su Zimo waved the deity slaying whip and lashed it at a Dharma Daojun. Following a series of crackles, lightning surged into the Dharma Daojun's divine sense and shattered his primordial spirit. The Dharma Daojun's head tilted to one side, and he fell from the sky. His heaven and earth Dharma form also dissipated. Hiss! The faces of the many Tao Lords turned pale when they saw this. What a powerful essence spirit mystic technique. That lad is only at the void reversion realm, but the essence spirit secret skill he released was able to kill a Dharma Daojun directly. Araki Takashi is a madman. A Dharma Daojun cursed with an ugly expression. Among them, many Tao Lords had just used essence spirit secret techniques to destroy Qinglian's sword. Now there was no way he could release a second essence spirit mystic technique. Pa! An azure bolt of lightning flashed and struck another Dharma Daojun. Ah! The Dharma Daojun shrieked tragically and convulsed. Unable to control his body, he fell from midair as well. His essence spirit was strong. Although he was not killed by the spirit-slaying whip, he was severely injured and would not recover in the future. His essence spirit was severely injured, and his heaven and earth Dharma form dissipated as well. Against the killing power of the spirit-slaying whip, the Dharma Daojun could only retreat and avoid it. They could either possess essence spirit dharmic weapons to defend against the spirit-slaying whip. There was no other way. As such chaos broke out on the battlefield, many Dharma Daojun retreated one after another, afraid that they would be struck by the spirit-slaying whip. Even if they believed that they could defend against the spirit-slaying whip, they were afraid that their essence spirits would be injured and affect their future cultivation. Piak! 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 Standing in midair, Su Zimo's eyes were like lightning as he waved the bedazzling spirit-slaying whip and whipped the Dharma Daojun opposite him. It was as though a god of the primordial era was enslaving the 10,000 races. At that moment, Su Zimo's aura with the spirit-slaying whip in hand was even more ferocious than the heaven and earth Dharma characteristics present. Piak! 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 Every time there was a crisp sound, there would be a figure falling from the sky. Some Dharma Daojun could withstand a single strike from the spirit-slaying whip, while others were killed by the spirit-slaying whip. Even if some Dharma Daojun could defend against the spirit-slaying whip, they could not avoid the attacks of Night Spirit. Like a phantom, he shuttled around the Dharma Daojun and released terrifying killing moves. None of the Dharma Daojun could defend against Night Spirit's massacre. Kill! Many Dharma Daojun were bloodthirsty and released their essence spirit secret skills as well, attacking Su Zimo. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat, and a ball of golden light burst forth from his left wrist, enveloping him. The Mingwang prayer beads released 4 runes that imprinted themselves on the golden barrier, forming a spirit consciousness barrier. The golden barrier trembled when the essence spirit secret skills descended. The Mingwang prayer beads were damaged dharmic weapons after all, and could not defend against the impact of so many essence spirit secret skills. Before long, cracks appeared on the golden barrier, and it shattered before long. Su Zimo could only rely on the spirit-slaying whip to fight against the essence spirit secret skills head-on. The power of the spirit-slaying whip diminished continuously, and its glow faded as well. Before long, the spirit-slaying whip dissipated. The Dharma Daojun, who had initially avoided the sharpness of the spirit-slaying whip, commanded his heaven and earth Dharma characteristic, and charged forward aggressively once more. On the other side, Nian Qi's combat strength was severely depleted after defending against the beam of the Demon Refinement Formation, and could no longer protect the Golden Lion and Golden Lion. At that moment, there were already a few wounds on the 2 lions. Bro, leave! Don't bother about us. The Golden Lion shouted. Today Cacao is saved and we're reunited. Even if we die, we have no regrets. There was no fear in Cacao's eyes as well as it faced death calmly. What nonsense are you spouting? Su Zimo said in a deep voice. Nobody will die today. Although he said that he was anxious internally, the current situation was rather disadvantageous for them. At that moment, it was too late even if he summoned the true bodies of the dragons. Furthermore, the rules of the Dragonbone Valley were strict, and the true bodies of the dragons could not leave casually. The only way to resolve this situation was probably Night Spirit's true body. However, if that was the case, Night Spirit's true body would be exposed in front of so many people and Night Spirit's life would be in danger as well. The two of them looked at each other. Su Zimo saw the determination in Night Spirit's eyes. Even if he had to expose his true body and put himself in danger, he could not let the Golden Lion and Golden Lion die here. That was the intention conveyed by Night Spirit's gaze. Gaga gaga. Right then, an ear-piercing and unpleasant laughter sounded from afar like a male duck. However, when they heard that laughter, Su Zimo, Night Spirit and Golden Lion were stunned. Soon after, their eyes were filled with wild joy. How could you guys fight here without calling us? How ungrateful. In the distance, a tall and burly figure stood on the city wall. He was covered in long hair and had a torrential demonic chi. He carried a shimmering golden rod on his shoulder and grinned with a wild expression. Haha, I'm here too. Following which, another familiar figure climbed up the city walls. He looked dignified and energetic, and he had an excited look on his face. Behind him, a graceful woman descended. Her black hair was like a waterfall as she extended her slender thighs and kicked the former off the city wall, scolding jokingly, "Hurry and help." Chapter 1163. After the three of them appeared, Cacao could clearly sense the Golden Lion's emotions turning from despair to ecstasy. Who are they? Cacao could not help but ask. The Golden Lion grinned. It's Brother Monkey. There's also Brother Tiger and Sister Ching Ching. I told you before. They're all here. Ah, Cacao exclaimed softly with disbelief in her eyes. She had heard from the Golden Lion that Brother Monkey and the others were in Thousand Demon Valley of the Middle Continent. To think that they would cross a major region to arrive here. However, a look of worry flashed through Cacao's face before long. Brother Monkey and the others are only at the Void Reversion Realm. Sigh. They'll probably be in danger if they come to help us. Cacao sighed softly. Haha. The Golden Lion's initial dejection was swept away, and his heart was filled with heroism as he shouted. Don't be afraid. As long as we join forces, we can go anywhere in the world. What's a mere Qian Heaven City? There were only 3 Dharma Daojun on the city walls. 2 of them controlled the 10 demon-revealing mirrors, and there were 10 void reversions. Everyone could not help but frown when they saw Monkey and the other 2. Where did these beasts come from? How dare they send themselves to our doorstep? A Dharma Daojun said coldly. The reason why Qian Heaven City had demon-revealing mirrors and demon refinement formations was to prevent fiend demons from infiltrating the city. For many years, it had been a long time since fiend demons dared to invade Qian Heaven City, let alone cause a ruckus at the North Region Dao meet today. When the Dharma Daojun on the city walls saw that the intruders were merely 3 mid-level fiend demons that were equivalent to void reversions, he was not bothered at all. I'm from Thousand Demon Valley of the Middle Continent. Monkey was fearless against the Dharma Daojun as well and grinned. How dare you bully my brother? I'll show you what I'm capable of. Beasts die. Many void reversions shouted and attacked one after another. Boom. Monkey's feet stomped heavily on the ground, causing the city walls to shake. Cracks appeared on the soles of his feet and extended in all directions. The crowd was aghast. What kind of power was this? Dong. The monkey pounded its chest with its left hand, producing a dull thud. The hearts of many cultivators skipped a beat. Monkey charged into the crowd. Some void reversions could not dodge in time, and were turned into blood mists, dying on the spot. Behind Monkey a blank space appeared. Among the 7 brothers, other than Su Zimo and Night Spirit, Monkey was the strongest. Back in Myriad Phenomenon City, the monkey had unleashed his full power, and was able to challenge the Rakshasa and Protoss alone. His bloodline was shocking and his physique was strong. Even the dermic weapons of many void reversions could not pierce through his skin. Monkey did not use any methods at all, and merely charged forward. None of the void reversions on the city walls could stop him. Demon monkey, don't be so arrogant. Let me suppress you. The two Dharma Daojun continued to operate the demon revealing mirror to maintain the operation of the demon refining grand formation. The remaining Dharma Daojun shouted and soared into the sky. The man raised his hand slightly, and a silver light flashed. Swash! In the blink of an eye, the silver light descended on Monkey and coiled around him, tightening continuously and bursting with beams of light. Demon suppressing rope. In the cultivation world, there were many secret skills and dermic weapons that targeted demons. The demon revealing mirror was one of them. The demon suppressing rope was the same type of dermic weapon. Monkey focused his gaze, and his blood chi circulated. His flesh expanded as he tried to break free from the demon suppressing rope. The demon suppressing rope shone brightly with silver light and tightened instead. Fufu demon monkey, the more you struggle, the tighter the demon suppressing rope will get. The Dharma Daojun had a smug expression and said in a deep voice, "If you kneel down and beg for mercy right now and sign a blood oath with me, I can spare your life and allow you to become my spirit beast to cultivate with me." He was confident. The demon suppressing rope was a supreme grade Dao Lord dermic weapon, and there was no way the void reversion demon monkey could break free. Swoosh! Swoosh! Monkey was not willing to listen to his nonsense, and channeled his blood chi continuously. Against the restraints of the demon suppressing rope, his body expanded continuously. Creak! 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 There was even a sound coming from the demon suppressing rope. However, as the person had said, the more he struggled and resisted, the tighter the demon suppressing rope became. In fact, it had already dug deep into his flesh. Let's see how long you can last, demon monkey. The Dharma Daojun sneered. A scarlet glint shone in Monkey's eyes. The stench of blood emanated from his body as well. Monkey was the most terrifying in his berserk state, and his combat strength was at its limits. Shing! Shing! Because Monkey was struggling too hard, the demon suppressing rope had already created streaks of blood on his body. Fresh blood seeped out of the wounds. The fresh blood seemed to contain an extremely strong power that stained the demon suppressing rope. The silver light on the demon suppressing rope swayed and dimmed rapidly. The Dharma Daojun's expression changed. Roar! Right then, Monkey suddenly opened his mouth and reared his head, letting out a furious roar. Blood chi burst forth from his body as he exerted strength and broke free of the demon suppressing rope with a bang. The demon suppressing rope was stained with demon blood and lost its dermic powers. It was snapped by Monkey and shattered into pieces that scattered on the ground. You bastard! When he saw what happened, the person was shocked and could not help but gulp. He felt his scalp prickle and his hair stand on end when he was glared at by Monkey's bloodshot eyes. Without hesitation, the person summoned his flying sword and pierced towards Monkey's glabella with a cold beam of light. Scram! Monkey slapped imminent with his gigantic hand. The golden rod jumped up from his shoulder and expanded continuously with a resplendent golden light, colliding against the incoming flying sword. Piak! There was a crisp sound when the flying sword collided with imminent. With just a slight pause, cracks began to appear on the body of the sword. The Dharma Daojun's pupils constricted. The golden rod was getting closer and bigger in his sight. Imminent reached the end and smashed the body of the Dharma characteristic Dao Lord into pieces. His body and spirit were destroyed without a trace. The expressions of the two Dharma Daojun, who were initially controlling the demon revealing mirrors, changed starkly. Boom! Monkey landed on the city wall and soared into the air, passing over the heads of many void reversions and arriving above the two Dharma Daojun. His demonic chi was torrential, and his bloodshot eyes were frightening. Break it! Monkey roared and swung the gigantic golden rod that shone with a golden light, smashing it against the 10 demon revealing mirrors before him. That aura and power was way too strong. It was as though he wanted to destroy the world. Against the envelopment of the rod, the two Dharma Daojun did not dare to take it head-on and retreated. Boom! Qianjun smashed down, the golden rod smashing heavily against the demon revealing mirror. All 10 ancient mirrors were shattered into pieces by the Qianjun cudgel. The beam of light that was initially on the Nian Qi dissipated instantly. The Nian Qi was invigorated, and his bloodline phenomenon that was about to collapse reformed and fought in all directions. Chapter 1164. On the other side, Qing reverted to her true form and flapped her wings. Before long, she arrived above the southern city wall and reared her head to cry. Suddenly, she spat out an exquisite jade-green feather fan from her mouth. The feather fan expanded rapidly in midair. If one focused their attention, they would discover that every single feather on the feather fan was burning with dense flames. Qing channeled her spirit consciousness and injected dermic powers, fanning the feather fan in the direction of the city wall. Swoosh! A ball of green flame burned along the city wall and headed toward the 10 demon-revealing mirrors. Many void reversions hurriedly attacked, wanting to defend against the spread of the flames with dermic arts. The feather fan fanned again. Swoosh! The flames burned brightly and broke through the obstruction of many void reversions. The temperature of the entire city wall rose continuously. Many cultivators could not dodge in time, and their bodies were stained with jade-green sparks. They could not be extinguished and instead burned even more fiercely. The Dharma Daojun on the city wall had already attacked as well, releasing powerful dermic powers to suppress the flames on the city wall. Qing cried and spat out a mouthful of essence blood onto the feather fan. The bloodline of the ferocious beast, the Bai Fong, flowed through Qing's body. The Bai Fong was one of the ferocious beasts that specialized in flames. In the ancient books, there were records of the Bai Fong that stated that its blood was like lava. A single drop of blood could incinerate an entire forest. It was clear how powerful its bloodline was. As for the jade-green feather fan, it was obtained from the ancient battlefield and was extremely powerful. The dermic powers of the feather fan increased exponentially with the stimulation of Qing's bloodline. Qing controlled the feather fan and fanned it a third time. Swoosh! This time round, even the Dharma Daojun could not stop the spread of the fire. The feather fan fanned thrice, and the jade-green flames formed a gigantic firestorm above the city wall that swept towards the demon-revealing mirrors. Hurry, retreat! When the 3 Dharma Daojun saw that, they could no longer be bothered to channel the demon refinement formation, and retreated one after another. The flames engulfed the 10 demon-revealing mirrors and crackled. In less than a moment, the light on the 10 demon-revealing mirrors dimmed. The beam of light that was initially augmented on the Creation Lotus platform dissipated as well. With Monkey and Qing's attacks, they destroyed 20 demon-revealing mirrors consecutively. This meant that more than half of the Grand Demon Refinement Array had been destroyed. Although the remaining 2 walls still had light beams covering Su Zimo's body, their power was greatly reduced and could be ignored. Big brother old 4 old 7 I who batty and am here. Ling Hu was kicked off the city wall by Qing. Before he landed on the ground, he transformed into his true form and roared as he charged toward the battlefield. Although there were only 3 more fiendish demons on the battlefield. However, the entire situation had changed. Since the great monster refining formation had been destroyed, the advantage of the upper sex was no longer obvious. The pressure on Nian Qi was greatly reduced. He joined forces with the Golden Lion and Cacao, and charged out of the city again. They moved slowly, and were getting closer and closer to the city gate. On the main battlefield, Su Zimo wielded the Creation Qinglian. Together with the Night Spirit, they were still fighting against the many Dharma Daojun. Monkey carried Imminent and joined the battle. Monkey was the most excited about such battles. The more wounds he had on his body, the brighter the blood glint in his eyes, and the greater his fighting spirit. In reality, Su Zimo and the others were retreating as they fought. Many cultivators of the North region Dao Meat could no longer stop them. Many cultivators were already thinking of retreating. The only thing they could still hold on for was that they still had the absolute advantage in terms of numbers at the North region Dao Meat. Ling Hu, what are you waiting for? Qing hollered. All right. Ling Hu nodded with excitement in his eyes. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. After not seeing each other for a few years, could Monkey and the others have other trump cards? Ling Hu took out a damaged beast hide from his storage bag. There was some hair growing on it, and it emitted an ancient aura. Demon Sealing Diagram? Su Zimo recognized the origin of the beast hide immediately. The demon sealing diagram belonged to Tao Lord Immortal Sword to begin with. 10 years ago in Thousand Demon Valley, everyone was fighting for the heaven-slaying sword art. Su Zimo took the risk and snatched the demon sealing diagram right under Tao Lord Immortal Sword's nose. Later on, he planned to rush to 100 Refinement Sect. However, he was still worried and left the demon sealing diagram to Little Fox and the others. Back then, Tao Lord Immortal Sword and the others merely sent a clone and made use of the demon sealing diagram to suppress the few overlords of Thousand Demon Valley on the spot. The demon sealing diagram had an extremely obvious suppressive effect on demon beasts. However, it had almost no effect on cultivators. Why was Ling Hu taking out the demon sealing diagram at that moment? The moment that doubt arose, Ling Hu released a spirit consciousness from his glabella and injected it into the demon sealing diagram, shouting, "Children, come on out." The moment he said that, figures rushed out of the demon sealing diagram one after another and descended into Qian Heaven City with rich demonic qi. Thousands of demons descended on the city walls, streets and alleys. They were everywhere and densely packed. Fiend demons. All of them were fiend demons. Some were low-level fiend demons, while others were mid-level fiend demons. Among them, there were even more than 10 high-level fiend demons equivalent to Dharma Daojun. Roar! Groar! Moo! Screech! The roars of thousands of demons shook the world. Heavens! Cacao could not help but exclaim with his mouth agape. This scene was way too shocking. Even many Dharma Daojun at the North Region Dao Meet were shocked, and their faces turned pale, let alone him. Crazy. How is that possible? This is as good as moving the entire army of a demon region into Qian Heaven City. Many Dharma Daojun had terrible expressions. In reality, they were not wrong. Right now, the demon beasts in Qian Heaven City were the demon army of Thousand Demon Valley's Howling Moon Mountain. Su Zimo left the demon sealing diagram behind, but he did not know the true use of it. Apart from being able to suppress demon beasts, the greatest use of the demon sealing diagram was that there was a massive space within it that could contain thousands of demons. Right now, Monkey and the others had moved an army of thousands of demons over with the help of the demon sealing diagram. The situation was reversed instantly. When Bai Ling Daojun saw that the situation was amiss, he shouted hurriedly, "Araki Takashi, stop the battle. I'll let you guys go." Right now, the army of thousands of demons had arrived and occupied almost half of Qian Heaven City. Even if Bai Ling Daojun and the others wanted to stop them, they could not. The Dharma Daojun of the upper sects and aristocratic families did not object as well. Although they suffered heavy losses and were unwilling, they could only allow Araki Takashi and the others to leave. Otherwise, their losses would be even greater, and they might even die here. Bullsh *T. Monkey did not care about the customs of the secular world and cursed, "I come and go as I please. Do I need you to let me go? Also, do you think we'll stop the battle just because you say so?" Monkey glared with bloodshot eyes, and his body was covered in blood as well. He said with a murderous aura, "You guys bullied my brother. I haven't killed enough. Araki Takashi, if we continue fighting, both sides will suffer losses, and it won't benefit either of us." Bai Ling Daojun glared at Su Zimo and said slowly. He knew that although the army of thousands of demons was created by Monkey and Ling Hu, they listened to Su Zimo. Chapter 1165. We can stop the battle. Su Zimo nodded and said. Although the demon army had just been released, and had yet to fight to their heart's content, none of the demons stood out to object. Su Zimo had absolute prestige in Howling Moon Mountain. Bai Ling Daojun and the others heaved a sigh of relief when they heard that. If Su Zimo had persisted, none of them could guarantee that they would have been able to leave Qian Heaven City alive. That cold-looking black-robed fiend demon was way too frightening. Up till this point of the battle, as long as he closed in, nobody could escape. However, Su Zimo changed the topic and swept his gaze across Bai Ling Daojun and the others, saying slowly, "There has to be an explanation for this battle. What do you want? Bai Ling Daojun asked with a frown. It's not about what I want, it's about what you should do, Su Zimo said coldly. I've never violated the rules of the North region, Dao meet right from the beginning. Everyone was silent. That was the truth, and no one could refute it. In fact, at the beginning, there were cultivators who provoked Su Zimo, but the latter merely suppressed them without killing them. If not for the fact that Bai Ling Daojun and the others gave the order for the paragons of the sect to surround Su Zimo and the others, this battle would not have happened. Bai Ling Daojun and the others were mostly responsible for the deaths of some cultivators. I don't have any feuds with most of you cultivators, and I don't want to kill all of you, Su Zimo said. Sweeping his gaze across the crowd, he could clearly see the panic, confusion, fear and helplessness on the faces of many cultivators. Many of them were innocent to begin with. After a slight pause, Su Zimo looked at Bai Ling Daojun and the others and said indifferently, however, you guys have to give me an explanation. Bai Ling Daojun and the others had terrible expressions. They had indeed misjudged the outcome of this battle. They had underestimated the strength of Araki Takashi and the others. They also did not expect that Araki Takashi would have such a powerful backup that he could summon an army of 10,000 demons. Bai Ling Daojun was silent for a long time. Then he stepped forward and cupped his hands slightly. He lowered his head and said in a low voice, Araki Takashi, I was wrong in this matter. The crowd of cultivators was shocked. What sort of figure was Daolord Whitesky? As the leader of the Ouyang aristocratic family, to participate in the North Region Dao meet, he was also one of the hosts of this Dao meet. But now, he was bowing down and apologizing to avoid reversion. Not to mention the Ouyang family. Even in the entire northern region, Bai Ling Daojun was famous. But now, he lowered his head to Araki Takashi. When the Dharma Daojun of the other upper sects saw this, they shook their heads and sighed. They stood out and bowed down to admit their mistakes. Su Zimo remained silent with a calm expression, and did not leave. The demons behind him were motionless and silent. His figure was a little frail, as though he could not withstand a gust of wind. However, when he stood in front of the army of 10,000 demons, he exuded an unparalleled aura that intimidated everything. Gantian City was completely silent. Bai Ling Daojun looked at the green-robed man, and his expression changed repeatedly. Finally, a ruthless glint flashed through his eyes, as though he had made up his mind. Suddenly, Bai Ling Daojun summoned a flying sword from his storage bag. The sword emitted 5 dermic patterns, and had a chilling aura that was sharp. After taking out the flying sword, Bai Ling Daojun did not attack Su Zimo. Instead, he turned the sword around and spun it in his palm. Poof! Blood flashed. Bai Ling Daojun had severed the pinky of his left hand. The crowd was in an uproar. Dao Lord, why did you have to do this? A few cultivators of the Ouyang aristocratic family rushed forward with shocked expressions and shouted, At most, we'll fight them to the death. Bai Ling Daojun shook his head with a tragic expression. Forget it, I was foolish for this matter. Even if I severed a finger, it won't be enough to exchange for the lives of my clansmen. After this matter is over, I'll definitely return to the clan to receive my punishment. Su Zimo's gaze shifted to the Dharma Daojun of the other upper sections. Some of the Dharma Daojun were decisive and imitated Bai Ling Daojun by severing a finger. Some of them had hesitant expressions and hesitated for a long time before enduring the pain and severing a finger. Actually, severing a finger was already the lightest punishment. For Dharma Daojun, it did not affect their combat strength at all. Furthermore, if they could cultivate to the conjoint body realm, they could regrow their severed fingers. However, some of the Dharma Daojun truly felt guilty, while others cursed internally out of resentment. In the crowd, Yulan had a conflicted expression when she saw that. She vaguely understood why Su Zimo did not kill them. That was because even if he killed them, there might be other princesses and highnesses who would step forward. However, if they were to witness this scene, they would never have the thought of reviving their countries for the rest of their lives. Not only that, after they returned, they would not let anyone else attempt to revive their countries and fight against the green-robed man. Even the conjoint body mighty figures of the North region would not be able to make the Dharma Daojun of the upper sex and aristocratic families lower their heads and sever their fingers to apologize. As long as Araki Takashi was alive, they would never be able to revive their countries. This was not a joke. Suzumo's expression was unchanged as he waved his hand. Let's go. Ling Hu summoned the demon ceiling diagram once more. The incomplete beast hide floated in midair and emitted a strange demonic power. The fiend demons that were initially scattered in Qian Heaven City soared into the air one after another. The bodies of the group of demons kept shrinking until they turned into a light spot and disappeared into the beast's skin. In the blink of an eye, Monkey, Ling Hu, Night Spirit, Golden Lion, Cacao and Nian Chi were the only ones left behind Suzumo. Monkey looked at the mini cultivators opposite him and spat with a disdainful expression before turning to leave. Suzumo and the others left as well. After taking a few steps, Suzumo paused in his tracks and frowned slightly, murmuring softly, I almost forgot that there's something I haven't settled. The hearts of the crowd had just calmed down when they heard that, they tensed up once more. Suzumo turned around and swept his gaze across the crowd. Before long, he found his target and said, Feng Yen, come on out. Dao being Wind Flame of Glass Palace. Araki Takashi, what are you trying to do? Dao being Wind Flame had a fearless expression as he replied coldly, I'm a disciple of Glass Palace. It's impossible for me to bow down and admit my mistakes. Glass Palace was one of the 9 immortal sects, and the only immortal sect in the North region. They had their own pride. Glass Palace, what's the big deal? Suzumo nodded and chuckled. Before his laughter was finished, Suzumo's figure suddenly darted forward. In a flash, he had already arrived before Dao being Wind Flame. Kill! Dao being Wind Flame's gaze shone brightly, and he was fearless as he burst forth with his blood chi. Raising both fists, he smashed down viciously towards Suzumo's head. Swash! A green shadow flashed and Suzumo's figure vanished. At the same time that he dodged Dao being Wind Flame's fists, Suzumo's body turned limp and coiled behind him like an anaconda, wrapping his arms tightly around Dao being Wind Flame's throat. Anaconda coil. Although it was difficult for Qinglian's true body to release the essence of that technique, this was a killing move from the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness after all. Fufufu. Dao being Wind Flame's blood chi was blocked and his face turned purple. He could not say a single word and let out a strange sound from the depths of his throat. Chapter 1166. Dao being Wind Flame cultivated the Glass Heart Sutra, and his blood chi was strong. In terms of the explosive power of his bloodline, he was definitely superior to Qinglian's true body. Unfortunately, he was restrained by the anaconda, and his throat was locked. His blood chi was obstructed, and even if he had 500 kilograms of strength, he could not release it. Suzumo's arms were like hard and cold chains that he could not break free from. Crack! 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 Under the constant pressure, Dao being Wind Flame could even hear the sound of bones cracking from his throat. Pust! If this continued, his throat would be crushed. In a moment of desperation, Dao being Wind Flame intended to abandon his body and release his essence spirit. Right then Suzumo's voice sounded. Don't move. The voice was very soft and was right beside his ears. However, Dao being Wind Flame truly did not dare to move. He had witnessed Suzumo's essence spirit secret skill, be it the green sword that shone with a multicolored glow, or the whip that shone with electric arcs. They were both peerlessly terrifying. Even the essence spirit of the Dharma Daojun was destroyed. He did not dare to act rashly. I'm just teaching you a lesson. I won't kill you. Suzumo said slowly. Also, help me pass a message when you return to Glass Palace. Right then, Dao being Wind Flame felt his throat loosen. Suzumo's arm had already been retracted. Dao being Wind Flame's body went limp, and he knelt on the ground, panting heavily. His throat was already shattered, and each time he panted, it was as though he was pulling on a bellows, letting out strange hissing sounds. What message? Dao being Wind Flame grit his teeth and asked. April 5th. I challenge Xuanyu Daoren. The location is here. Suzumo raised his palm, and threw down a map. There was a clear mark on the map. Ha 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 ha. Dao being Wind Flame burst into laughter without even looking. His laughter caused a sharp pain in his throat. However, he did not realize it, and even laughed until tears flowed from his eyes. You challenged senior brother Xianyu? Dao being Wind Flame asked again, as though he wanted to confirm this matter. That's right. Suzimo nodded. Then there's something I have to tell you. Senior brother Xianyu is no longer a void reversion, but Dharma Daojun. Dao being Wind Flame roared in laughter. There's no Xuanyu Daoren in Glass Palace, only Dao Lord Xianyu. Araki Takashi, you're courting death. Dharma phase? Suzimo muttered softly but wasn't surprised. He shook his head and said, Dharma Daojun is nothing. I've killed quite a few in Qian Heaven City. Haha, these Dao Lords are nothing. Dao being Wind Flame sneered. The Dharma Daojun who died here isn't even fit to carry senior brother Xianyu's shoes. I don't mind telling you that senior brother Xianyu has already reached the perfected Dharma characteristic realm, and is the second person in Glass Palace at the Dharma characteristic realm. He has a chance of leaving his name on the Dharma characteristic ranking. You're courting death by challenging senior brother Xianyu. Suzimo frowned. This was somewhat out of his expectations. To think that Xianyu's cultivation speed would be so fast. In just 100 years, he had crossed a major cultivation realm. This battle was even more troublesome than he had imagined. Even within the same cultivation realm, there was a huge difference in combat strength. For example, in Qian Heaven City, some Dharma Daojuan's essence spirits would turn into ashes after being whipped by the spirit vanquishing whip. However, some Dharma Daojuans could fight against the spirit vanquishing whip with their essence spirit secret skills. There were only 72 people on the Heaven and Earth Dharma characteristic ranking. Those who could be ranked were all the top Dao Lords of Tianhuang mainland. There was a difference of an entire major cultivation realm. If he were to fight against a Dao Lord on the Dharma characteristic ranking, the outcome would be unpredictable even if he released all his trump cards. Araki Takashi, you've already confirmed the challenge earlier on. You won't go back on your word now, right? Dao being Wind Flame was afraid that Suzimo would regret it and said hurriedly, You want to establish a Dao and impart martial arts to all living beings. If you go back on your word, you'll only be a laughingstock. Since I've decided on a challenge, I won't go back on my word. Go back and tell them the truth. Suzimo said indifferently, and left with a flick of his sleeves. With that said, Suzimo, Monkey and the others leaped onto the spirit vessel, and left Qian Heaven City, disappearing into the horizon before long. Someone lamented. Araki Takashi is probably the only one who has the guts and boldness to challenge Dao Lord Xianyu openly. What's the use of that? Do you really think that he can defeat the Dharma Daojun of Glass Palace? Another cultivator pursed his lips. How did Araki Takashi and Dao Lord Xianyu form a feud? You don't even know that? More than 100 years ago, Araki Takashi was still at the Jindan realm, and Xianyu was a void reversion. In the Great Qian Ruins, he crippled Araki Takashi's Jindan, and forced the latter into the Dragon Burial Valley, almost dying. I heard that it's because Dao Lord Xianyu was involved in the death of Araki Takashi's family in the mortal world. You guys are all wrong. When she heard the discussions around her, Yulan shook her head. The reason why Araki Takashi challenged Dao Lord Xianyu is because he wants to seek justice for the citizens of Yin country. More than 100 years ago, the 13 cities of Yin country were almost razed to the ground by Glass Palace cultivators. Countless citizens of Yin country were buried, and the Yin country was destroyed as a result. How did you conclude that? A cultivator asked. Yulan pointed to the map in front of Dao Lord Windflame. The location of their battle is the old capital of Yin country. The old capital of Yin country. 5th April, Qingming Festival. Are they going to use Dao Lord Xianyu's life to pay tribute to the dead? The cultivators gradually understood. Young master, are you being a little rash? On the spirit vessel, Nianqi said softly with a worried expression. Actually, it won't be too late to challenge Dao Lord Xianyu after you cultivate to the Dharma characteristic realm. Suzimo shook his head. If I enter the Dharma characteristic realm, Xian Yu will definitely not dare to accept the challenge. Everyone was stunned for a moment before understanding. If Tao Lord Xian Yu did not accept the challenge, there was nothing Su Zimo could do. Glass Palace was one of the 9 immortal sects and Su Zimo was only a void reversion. If he barged into Glass Palace, he would die before he could even meet Xuan Yu Daoren. However, this battle is way too dangerous for you, young master. Nian Qi analyzed. Tao Lord Xian Yu will definitely do his best in this battle, because he represents Glass Palace and Glass Palace cannot afford to lose. If Tao Lord Xian Yu was killed by Su Zimo, despite the difference of a major cultivation realm, Glass Palace's reputation would plummet. Cacao nodded as well. Brother has already revealed his trump cards in this battle. The other party will definitely be prepared. It's fine. Su Zimo had a calm expression. This battle is inevitable. This battle was not only for himself, but also for his brother Su Hong, the citizens of Yin Country and Little Fox. Little Fox's treasure was snatched away by Tao Lord Xian Yu. Su Zimo would always remember this. Right, where's Little Fox? At the thought of Little Fox, Su Zimo asked curiously. Initially, he thought that Little Fox did not appear with Monkey and the others to join the battle, because they were worried that she would be injured. However, why had Little Fox not appeared after leaving Qian Heaven City? At the mention of the Little Fox, Monkey, the Spirit Tiger, and Qing Qing looked at one another with strange expressions. Chapter 1167. What's wrong? Did something happen to Little Fox? The Golden Lion's heart sank when he saw Monkey and the other two's odd expressions, and could not help but ask. Su Zimo was not in a hurry. He saw that Monkey and the other two were rather relaxed, and did not seem like Little Fox was in danger. True enough. Monkey waved it off. Nothing happened to Little Fox, but... Monkey paused for a moment and said hesitantly, "We were initially all at Howling Moon Mountain. However, a woman appeared out of nowhere a while ago, and took Little Fox away." "Ah!" the Golden Lion exclaimed. "Nothing happened?" "Stop being so flustered." Cacao patted the Golden Lion on the head. "Didn't you hear what Brother Monkey said? Little Fox was taken away, not snatched away." Monkey nodded with a reminiscing expression. "After that woman appeared, she wanted to take Little Fox away. Naturally, we refused. However, she was way too strong. She didn't even make a move, and the pressure she exuded alone rendered us immobile." The Golden Lion, Nian Qi and the others were stunned. What sort of cultivation realm and strength did she have to be to render Monkey and the others immobile with the pressure of her spirit consciousness? Was she at the conjoint body realm? Or even higher? However, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat as a figure flashed through his mind, and he had a vague guess. Monkey continued. "However, that woman seemed to know Little Fox and didn't have any enmity towards her. They chatted for an entire night in private, and Little Fox left with her thereafter. Little Fox is inexperienced and innocent. Could she have been deceived?" The Golden Lion mumbled. Su Zimo asked, "What sort of woman is she?" "She's as beautiful as a fairy." Ling Hu could not help but remark at the side. "Heavens, I've never seen such a beautiful girl before." If this was in the past, Qing Qing would have flown into a rage and kicked Ling Hu away if she heard Ling Hu praising another woman in such a manner. However, this time round even Qing Qing nodded. "Indeed, she's extremely beautiful and can't be described with words. Even I feel moved when I see her." Hearing such an evaluation, Su Zimo no longer had any doubts in his heart. Powerful strength and extreme beauty. It would be difficult to find another woman like her in the world. This woman should be the Princess Yufei, who had awakened in the magma of the great Qian underground palace. Su Zimo said, "Don't worry, everyone. This senior is an old friend of Little Fox's mother. He definitely won't hurt Little Fox." "Big brother knows her?" Ling Hu asked curiously. "Yes, I've met him once." Su Zimo said ambiguously. The meeting between the two was a little awkward. Su Zimo did not say much, so he changed the topic and asked, "What else did the Little Fox say before she left?" "It's nothing. I just want everyone not to worry." Qing Qing smiled and said, "She said that it might not be long before she comes back to find everyone." At the thought of the little fox blinking her huge eyes reluctantly, a smile appeared on Su Zimo's face. "Why are you guys here instead of staying at Howling Moon Mountain?" Su Zimo asked again. When they heard that, Ling Hu and Qing Qing blushed and did not say anything. Monkey could not help but grumble. "Don't mention it. 7th and 5th aren't around, and you and Little Fox have left. There's only the 3 of us left." "What's wrong?" Su Zimo did not understand. Monkey rolled his eyes at Ling Hu and Qing Qing and said faintly, "The 2 of them are always together as though there's no one else around. They're shameless and bickering so much that I'm about to puke." Ha 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 ha. Everyone burst into laughter. "I'm going to be bored to death if I don't run out," Monkey said exaggeratedly. Su Zimo could not help but chuckle as well as he shook his head. "You monkey." It was rare for the brothers to be together, and it was as though they had returned to the days of laughter and scolding. Everyone's faces were filled with smiles. Even Night Spirit, who was usually cold and silent, joined in the commotion and got into a mess with everyone. Cacao could not help but feel happy for them when he sensed the pure brotherhood between them without any distracting thoughts. Initially, Nianqi was still worried about the battle between Su Zimo and Dao Lord Xianyu. However, at that moment, she did not want to mention it and ruin the joy and warmth. She blended in as well. What could be more important than a reunion? In less than 10 days, news of the North region, Dao meat spread through the entire cultivation world. Araki Takashi returned and suppressed paragons of the same cultivation realm domineeringly. In fact, he even killed many Dharma Daojun. Finally, the demon army descended and forced many Dharma Daojun to admit their mistakes, causing an uproar in the North region. The cultivation world of Tianhuang mainland was in an uproar. 10 years ago, Araki Takashi was severely injured by a half-martial ancestor, and his body was crippled. How can he still possess such strength? I'm not sure. I heard that Araki Takashi's physique and bloodline are indeed inferior to before. However, his dermic powers are vast and his essence spirit secret skills are terrifying. He can kill Dao Lords. That's way too scary. That lad's fortune is way too great. He can still recover after being severely injured by a half-martial ancestor. The cultivators were shocked. That person has a feud with many sections. Those factions are definitely not willing to see him rise. I reckon that there will definitely be people who can't sit still. That lad has a Mahayana patriarch backing him. Which sect or faction would dare to kill him? That's where you don't understand. If they really want to go all out and kill a void reversion, they have many methods. North Region Dao meet half a month later. Dragon Tiger Sect. In a secret cave abode at the back mountain of the sect, the light was dim. The patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect stood inside and bowed slightly with a respectful expression. A grand elder of Dragon Tiger Sect was in seclusion in this cave abode. However, this grand elder was a conjoint body expert. In the depths of the cave abode, where light and darkness intersected, a blurry figure was vaguely reflected. "Just you wait," Elderly spoke slowly and said. "If this kid loses at the hands of Xianyu and perishes, then everything will be fine. If this kid wins..." Pausing for a moment, Elderly opened his eyes with a flash of killing intent. "I'll come out and kill that lad." But the Mahayana patriarch backing him, the patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect asked softly with a wary expression. "You don't have to worry," Elderly said. "Before that, I'll announce that I've already betrayed the sect and have nothing to do with Dragon Tiger Sect. This matter will not implicate the sect." The patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect heaved a sigh of relief. "Araki Takashi is too sharp. I'm not the only one who wants to kill him," Elderly said coldly. "In order to ensure that nothing goes wrong, I'll try my best to join forces with other forces to suppress him and not give him any chance to escape." This was equivalent to exchanging a life for a life. If Araki Takashi was killed, the Mahayana patriarch behind him would definitely make a move and kill Elderly. "Should we wait a little longer?" the patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect suggested. "I heard that the Mahayana patriarch behind this lad doesn't have much lifespan left and is already at the end of his life. As long as he dies, you won't have to bear the infamy of betraying the sect, and won't be in danger of being hunted down by the Mahayana patriarch. We can't wait any longer, Elderly sighed and said. He's already so powerful when he's only at the Void Return realm. When he reaches the Dharma characteristic realm, I'm afraid we won't be able to hurt him even without the protection of a Mahayana patriarch. At that time, he's already established and revered by the North region. All the upper sects, aristocratic families and gentry clans will have to bow down to him. The patriarch of Dragon Tiger sect opened his mouth slightly with a shocked expression. The North region was revered by the entire world. Chapter 1168. By the time the North region Dao meet ended, it was already mid-March. It was only about 20 days away from April 5th. On this day, a group of cultivators arrived in the skies above the old capital of Yin country. The leader was dressed in green robes, and his black hair was like a waterfall. His eyes were clear. It was Su Zimo. Monkey Linghu Qing Qing, Night Spirit, Golden Lion, Cacao and Nian Qi stood behind him. Su Zimo looked at his homeland with a conflicted expression. Due to the invasion of Glass Palace cultivators back then, the capital had long been reduced to ruins and was no longer bustling. More than 100 years had passed, but this place was still deserted. There were some dilapidated walls and dilapidated courtyards. Perhaps some traces of the past could still be seen. Su Zimo remained silent and merely watched quietly. Tears welled up and his vision gradually blurred. Too many things had happened in the old capital of the royal city, on this piece of land. He was born here. That night, the Su family met with a calamity. Su Hong's face was slashed, and his head was almost split into two. Su Hong brought him and Xiaoning out of the capital, and was forced to leave his hometown to live in seclusion. Many years later, he returned single-handedly. In the capital, he killed his enemy and beheaded the king of Yen. Later on, this royal city had suffered a calamity and countless living beings were buried here. His old friends, Lu Yu, Yuqi Hua Song Qi, the black-armored cavalry of the past were all buried under the ruins. This was the first time he had a Dao heart here. In a daze, Su Zimo seemed to have seen an old man in his twilight years, standing in the ruins with tears streaming down his face. First, Su Zimo called out softly. The old man disappeared silently. Su Zimo soon realized that it was only a figure in the depths of his memories. Everything was no longer there. Nian Qi and the others did not understand why Su Zimo was tearing up. They could not understand Su Zimo's feelings and attachment towards this land. I'm fine. After a long time, Su Zimo said. In the next few days, I'll stay here and prepare to fight with Xianyu. You don't have to worry. Before the North region Dao meet, he had already cultivated to the peak of the late-stage void reversion realm. After going through a great battle and returning to his homeland, he could already feel the opportunity to break through. The next realm was the perfected void reversion realm. Let's go. Don't disturb him. Monkey waved his hand and pointed into the distance. I'll let you guys take a look at the place where I met Big Brother back then. Hee, I was once the king of that forest. Sure. Qing Qing clapped her hands and said, That's great. Brother Monkey, tell us about your glorious past. No problem. Monkey seemed to have thought of something as he grinned and said, Right, when Night Spirit was still an egg, he was also brought out from that forest. After Monkey's antics, everyone's mood became much more relaxed. You guys go ahead. I'll stay here to accompany young master. Nian Qi said, If young master wants to break through, someone has to guard him. Although she wanted to take a look and hear about her young master's past from Monkey as well, nothing was more important to her than Su Zimo's safety. Let's go then. Linghu called out. Sister Nian Qi, inform us immediately if anything happens. Don't worry. Big Brother is about to fight Dao Lord Xianyu. Before that, there shouldn't be anyone who will come looking for trouble with Big Brother. Qing Qing analyzed. After bidding farewell, Monkey led everyone towards Songlang mountain range. Su Zimo descended slowly and arrived at the only intact palace in the palace. He murmured softly, Let's do it here. All right, young master, go and cultivate. I'll guard outside. Nian Qi stood outside the door with a focused expression like a little door guardian. Monkey led everyone towards Songlang mountain range. If it was a normal person, it would take at least a month or two to rush to Songlang mountain range from the old capital of Yin country. However, Monkey and the others were all at the Void Reversion realm. They sped the entire way and arrived above Songlang mountain range in less than 2 hours. Is this the place? Looking at the long mountain range beneath their feet, Ling Hu and the others looked around curiously. Back then, this mountain range was vast and boundless. However, it was far inferior compared to Thousand Demon Valley of the Middle Continent. Songlang mountain range could not even compare to a corner of Howling Moon Mountain, let alone Thousand Demon Valley. Monkey and the others looked extremely relaxed as they looked at the mountain range beneath their feet. The myriad Demon Valley was like a vast ocean. As for Songlang mountain range, it was merely a shallow beach. Monkey and the others were fiend demons that fought their way out of the vast ocean. Now that they looked back at the shallow beach, they naturally did not think much of it. Given their cultivation, they could cover more than half of Songlang mountain range with their spirit consciousnesses. Over there, Monkey led everyone through the air above the mountain range. He pointed to a valley not far away and grinned. This is where First and I first met. At that time, First was in a terrible state and was nearly devoured by a pack of wolves. Thankfully, I appeared in time, hee. Monkey was still proud at the mention of that. Ling Hu pursed his lips in disapproval. However, he did not dare to retort in front of Monkey, afraid that Monkey would beat him up if he angered him. Halt! Right then, a figure soared into the air ahead and blocked the path of Monkey and the others. The intruder wore purple armor and exuded a demonic aura. He glared at Monkey and the others with a sharp gaze with an unfriendly expression. Monkey and the others could see clearly that the intruder was also a demon, and his true form was a purple-winged eagle. The purple-winged eagle asked in a deep voice, "Which mountain are you guys from? Why are you trespassing into Songlang mountain range?" "Yo-ho!" Ling Hu whistled and mocked. "Brother Monkey, these brats from Songlang mountain range sure are impressive." Monkey grinned as well and nodded at the purple-winged eagle not far away. "Not bad, not bad. When I left, there were no fiend demons in Songlang mountain range. To think that a fiend demon would appear now, even though it's a low-level one. A low-level fiend demon was equivalent to Jinying Jinjuan. Of course, low-level fiend demons were nothing in the eyes of Monkey and the others. Ling Hu was one of the territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain and had countless fiend demons under his command. Normally, he was used to calling them brats and children. When he saw a low-level fiend demon, he naturally blurted out the word brat. Unexpectedly, the purple-winged eagle's expression darkened as it glared at Ling Hu and the others with hostility. "In that case, you guys want to offend Songlang mountain range?" Monkey waved it off and declared proudly, "Offend my ass. I'm the king of this mountain. How dare you, demon monkey?" The purple-winged eagle's expression changed as it hollered, "Songlang mountain range has a territorial lord. How dare you spout nonsense here?" After holding it in for a long time, Ching Ching finally could not hold it in and burst into laughter. "Ha ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter." Ling Hu could not stop laughing as well. The golden lion and the others snickered at the side, watching Monkey make a fool of himself. Along the way, Monkey bragged about how impressive he was back in Songlang mountain range. To think that he would be reprimanded by a low-level fiend demon the moment he arrived. Furthermore, he was even scolded as a demon monkey. Monkey was gloomy as well. Even in Howling Moon Mountain, no one dared to scold him as a demon monkey. To think that he would be rebuffed the moment he arrived at Songlang mountain range. Chapter 1169. The most laughable thing was that the purple-winged eagle before them was merely a low-level fiend demon. However, this low-level fiend demon did not show any fear against mid-level fiend demons, and even dared to stand out and berate them. Was this purple-winged eagle truly a newborn calf? Or did it have something to rely on? Monkey swept his spirit consciousness and enveloped more than half of Songlang mountain range. He could not help but exclaim softly, "A simple scan," and he could already sense the auras of 5 low-level fiend demons. When he left, There was not a single low-level fiend demon in the mountain range. It had only been slightly more than 100 years, and so many demons had already matured into fiend demons? Alright, I'll cut to the chase. Who is your territorial lord? Get him to come and see me. Monkey waved his hand, and could not be bothered to argue with this low-level fiend demon. Humph! The purple-winged eagle harumphed coldly. Our territorial lord is not someone you can meet as and when you like. You had better leave quickly or cut the crap. Monkey rolled his eyes impatiently and strode forward. He reached out with his palm and dermic powers coiled around it, grabbing towards the purple-winged eagle. The purple-winged eagle's expression changed. Without hesitation, it channeled its blood chi and wanted to revert to its true form, so that it could break free from the attack range of Monkey's palm. Unexpectedly, Monkey released a massive spirit consciousness that descended and suppressed the purple-winged eagle. Enveloped by the spirit consciousness, the purple-winged eagle's blood chi almost stagnated and could not be channeled. It could not even revert to its true form. So strong. The purple-winged eagle's heart sank. This was not only a suppression in terms of cultivation realm, it was a suppression in terms of bloodline. The difference in bloodline caused the purple-winged eagle's bloodline to be unable to resist. It was akin to a mouse meeting a cat. Monkey's furry palm covered the skies. A huge shadow shrouded over. In the blink of an eye, Monkey grabbed the back of the purple-winged eagle's neck and lifted it up with ease. Although the purple-winged eagle was a low-level fiend demon, it was pitifully weak like a little chick when Monkey lifted it up. The purple-winged eagle was completely stunned. After being grabbed by Monkey, its body stiffened, and its dermic powers were restricted as well. It could not muster any strength at all. It was subdued with a single move. Demon Monkey, let go of me. The purple-winged eagle's face flushed red as it hollered. It's so noisy. Monkey shook the purple-winged eagle in his hand continuously. The purple-winged eagle felt as if all the bones in its body were about to fall apart. However, it still said weakly, if the Grand Lord finds out that you have trespassed into the Tsonglang mountain range, and even dared to attack me, you. Huff. The purple-winged eagle was dizzy from being shaken by the monkey. It couldn't even catch its breath, and couldn't continue speaking. I have nothing to do anyway. Who is your lord? I'll go and meet him. Monkey had already made up his mind to teach this overlord a lesson in front of Linghu, and the rest to regain his face. Lord of Tsonglang mountain range, come out quickly. Linghu's voice spread to every corner of the mountain range. There was no response from the mountain range. The overlord of Howling Moon Mountain has arrived. You're just a small lousy overlord. Why aren't you paying your respects? Linghu shouted again, even raising his status by a notch. No one from Tsonglang mountain range appeared. What lord? He's so scared that he doesn't even dare to show his face. The golden lion grinned. Nonsense. At that moment, the purple-winged eagle caught its breath and gritted its teeth. The overlord is not in Tsonglang mountain range at all. Linghu asked. Where did he go? He's nearby, the purple-winged eagle said in a deep voice. If you guys want to ask for trouble, I'll bring you guys over. Hee hee, what great respect. I can take a look at what kind of a big shot your overlord is. Monkey sneered and asked. How do we get there? The purple-winged eagle raised its arm and pointed in a direction. There's a town more than 50 kilometers away. The overlord cultivates there all year round. Town? Linghu pursed his lips. What kind of weirdo is that? As a demon, he didn't stay in Tsonglang mountain range, and went to a town to cultivate. Without another word, Monkey carried the purple-winged eagle, and sped in that direction. Before long, they were getting closer to the town mentioned by the purple-winged eagle. Apart from some common vegetation, there were also peach trees on both sides of the road. Right now, it was early spring and tender sprouts had just sprouted on the branches, embellished with green and brimming with vitality. In the distance, they could vaguely make out a town. Monkey frowned slightly and exclaimed softly, asking, The overlord of Tsonglang mountain range is in this town. That's right. The purple-winged eagle replied. This should be Pingyang town. The monkey mumbled. Where is Pingyang town? Linghu and the others were confused and asked instinctively. Monkey explained. First was originally from Pingyang town. Before he started cultivating, he was a scholar in this town. Ling Hu and the others were enlightened. Before long, everyone arrived before Pingyang Town. After 100 years, Pingyang Town was much larger than before. In this chaotic world where war was everywhere, Pingyang Town did not seem to be affected at all. It was like a paradise. The town was bustling with people and traffic. At a glance, it was livelier than most cities. The mortals in this town seemed to be living quite well. Ching Ching blinked her eyes and said in surprise. The purple-winged eagle said proudly, "Of course. With our overlord protecting the people here, no one can hurt them. All these years, our overlord has made a move and chased away many outsiders like you who offended Pingyang Town." Monkey and the others exchanged glances and clicked their tongues in wonder. As a demon and the overlord of Tsonglang Mountain Range, it was truly strange that he would come here to protect the mortals of Pingyang Town. Because of that, Monkey and the others' hostility towards this overlord decreased significantly. Ling Hu shook his tiger head and was surprised as well. It's indeed strange. Even mortals with strong bodies only have a lifespan of slightly more than 100 years. Look, there are so many elders in this town who are more than 100 years old. There are no signs of cultivation, and they are all mortals. Indeed, everyone scanned with their spirit consciousnesses and saw many elders with long lifespans. Longevity Town. In this chaotic world, it was already good enough to be able to survive, let alone have a long lifespan. However, it was obvious that the mortals of Pingyang Town were living blissfully. All of them had rosy cheeks and were strong and healthy. When the purple-winged eagle saw the shock on Monkey and the others' faces, its expression was even more disdainful as it said proudly, "How would you impolite fiend demons understand our overlord's methods?" "What do you mean?" the golden lion asked. "Is the longevity of these mortals related to your overlord as well?" "Of course," the purple-winged eagle said with certainty. "Our overlord's dermic powers are boundless. It's not something fiend demons like you can understand." Upon hearing the purple-winged eagle's words, everyone was even more curious about this overlord. "Is he in the town right now? Why can't I see him?" Monkey frowned. He released his spirit consciousnesses and scanned for a long time, but could not detect the presence of demonic chi in Pingyang Town. "Haha, our overlord is right here. However, there's no way you guys can discover his tracks." The purple-winged eagle mocked loudly when it saw Monkey deflated. Ling Hu, Ching Ching and the others shook their heads as well. They found nothing. "This overlord can hide from our spirit consciousnesses?" Monkey murmured. "Indeed, he has some tricks up his sleeve." Chapter 1170. "I advise you guys to give up," the purple-winged eagle said. "You guys won't be able to find the territorial lord at all." "Shut up." Monkey was getting a headache from the purple-winged eagle's nagging. Now that he was outclassed by this territorial lord that popped out of nowhere, he was enraged and shook the purple-winged eagle's body forcefully. The purple-winged eagle was stunned once more. Monkey looked at Night Spirit. "Fifth, you didn't notice either?" Although Monkey, Ling Hu and Ching Ching were ranked in front of Night Spirit, they knew that Night Spirit was definitely stronger than them in terms of combat strength. Night Spirit did not say anything and shifted his gaze to an empty courtyard in Pingyang Town. There was no one in the courtyard, and the decorations were simple. Apart from a stone table and a stone bench, there was only a peach blossom tree. "What's the meaning of this?" Ling Hu stuck his head out and looked around. "Is the territorial lord hiding in this courtyard?" As he said that, he released his spirit consciousness to investigate. After a moment, there was still nothing. "There's nothing." Ling Hu blinked. "Night Spirit, you can't do it. You're outclassed as well." Night Spirit smiled gently and shook his head, pointing to the inconspicuous peach blossom tree in the courtyard. "Peach blossom tree? Has it turned into a spirit?" Monkey frowned slightly. There were too many peach blossom trees in the vicinity of Pingyang Town, and they did not pay much attention to it even if they saw it. However, through Night Spirit's reminder, everyone focused their attention on the peach blossom tree and gradually discovered something unusual. Suddenly, the peach blossom tree vanished right in front of everyone. Right after, a figure appeared in front of everyone. Initially, Monkey and the others were wary. However, when they saw who it was, a look of astonishment appeared on everyone's faces. The person who came was wearing a white shirt and was about 8 or 9 years old. He was actually a young boy with a pink and tender face. His eyes were black and clear and bright. Where did this child come from? Ling Hu asked instinctively, not understanding what was going on. Monkey rolled his eyes. Are you blind? Can't you see that the peach blossom tree in the courtyard is gone? I know, but... Ling Hu scratched his head and looked at the boy not far away. He said in disbelief, this child is the territorial lord of Songlang Mountain Range? In their imaginations, even if they did not have 3 heads and 6 arms and looked ferocious, they would at least be like Monkey and Ling Hu, imposing and awe-inspiring. Who would have thought that a tender little boy would suddenly appear like a porcelain doll? It was far from what they had expected. Monkey also scratched his head, feeling troubled. If a ferocious person really jumped out, it would be easy to deal with. All he needed to do was to unleash a thunderous attack and directly subdue it. He really didn't know what to do in the face of this dying boy. He was afraid that he would kill the boy with a single punch. Besides, this boy looked so pure and innocent that he couldn't bring himself to do it. Ching and Cacao eyes lit up when they saw the boy. They were filled with motherly love and couldn't wait to hug the boy and dote on him. Who are you guys? The boy asked sternly with a stern expression. Are you guys here to harm others as well? Although it was a question, the boy's voice was soft and mellow, pleasing to the ear. My lord, please save me. The purple-winged eagle shouted hurriedly. The boy pouted slightly, as though he was a little angry. He berated Monkey. Demon, quickly release Uncle Purple Bird. Uncle Purple Bird will feel terrible if you carry him like this. The purple-winged eagle's face darkened as he grit his teeth. Territorial Lord, how many times have I told you? Please don't call me Uncle Purple Bird in front of outsiders. Ha 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 ha. Ling Hu and the Golden Lion burst into laughter. Monkey grinned as well, finding it amusing. However, he did not release his grip. Child, what's your name? Ching came before the boy and squatted down, asking with a gentle expression. The boy turned his head slightly and blinked his large eyes, seemingly troubled. He tried his best to think for a long time before saying dejectedly, I don't have a name. Why don't you have a name? Ching asked again. Where are your parents? I don't have parents either. The boy shook his head. At the side, the purple-winged eagle was about to cry. He was carried by Monkey the entire way, and thought that the territorial lord would save him if he appeared. To think that the territorial lord would have forgotten about him. He was even chatting with the fiend demons opposite him. You don't have a single kin? Ching felt pity for him. I do. Unexpectedly, the boy nodded hurriedly at that point. I have kin. Young master is my kin. Pausing for a moment, a look of disappointment flashed through the boy's eyes as he lowered his head. However, young master has left and hasn't returned for a long time. I miss him so much. The boy's eyes were a little moist as they flickered and sparkled. Ching hugged the boy hurriedly and consoled him softly. Don't cry, don't cry. It's all that young master's fault. He's the worst for not returning to visit you for so long. All of a sudden, Ching felt a great force bursting forth from her embrace. The boy actually broke free from her embrace. The boy took 2 steps back and glared at her furiously. You're not allowed to say that. The boy's brows were almost raised. It was clear that he was truly enraged. The boy gripped his fists tightly, and an extremely terrifying aura emanated from his body as he berated. You're a bad person for saying that about young master. All of you are. However, Ching was not annoyed and merely lamented internally. This child is pure and innocent. His standards for judging whether someone is good or bad are truly simple. It seemed like that young master truly occupied an extremely important position in the child's heart. While Ching was pondering, Ling Hu shuddered in fright when he sensed the boy's aura, and pulled Ching back hurriedly. They were bewitched by the boy's appearance, and almost forgot that he was a territorial lord. Although he was also at the void reversion realm, he could hide from their senses. Territorial lords were not easy to deal with. The boy's gaze shifted and he frowned slightly. Uncle Purple Bird, why were you captured by them? Heaven, thank that young master. The purple-winged eagle reared his head and sighed with a bitter expression. Territorial Lord, you finally remembered me. You guys are indeed bad people. When the boy saw that, he was even more certain. This time round, he no longer hesitated and walked towards Monkey and the others with a stern expression. His aura rose continuously. Hee. Linghu rubbed his palms. Brother Monkey, leave this child to me. Let me teach him a lesson. Be gentle, Qingqing said fiercely. If you dare to hurt him, I'll break your legs, Linghu said with a bitter expression. All right, I'll hold back. Child, I'm coming. Linghu shouted and lunged towards the boy. Bang! Although he lunged forward at a fast speed, he retreated even faster. Everyone was dumbfounded. The boy raised his hand slightly and punched the tiger's head in a flash. It was a solid punch. Before Linghu could react, he was sent flying and fell to the ground. He rolled a few times and his right cheek was swollen. Chapter 1171. Was Brother Tiger careless? That should be the case. Otherwise, why would he be hit by a child? Linghu shook his head and stood up, panting slightly as he gradually regained his senses. Child, you've angered me. Linghu glared at the boy not far away and said fiercely. This kind of physical blow was only secondary. The main thing was that he was punched solidly in the face by the boy in front of Monkey and the others. That was way too embarrassing. Swash! Linghu's figure flashed and his blood chi burst forth. Thunderbolts coiled around his body, and he exuded a domineering aura, unique to the tiger race. Roar! Linghu roared at the boy. The wind howled. You're so noisy. The boy frowned and was a little angry. Initially, he wanted to teach Linghu a lesson. However, he did not expect that Linghu would get up and even shout at him. That made him extremely unhappy. Swash! Linghu merely felt his vision blur, and the boy had already vanished from the spot. So fast. Linghu's heart sank. Without hesitation, he waved his hand and released the power of thunder before him. Bang! Before Linghu's fist could even touch the boy's clothes, his face was severely injured once more. After a moment of dizziness, Linghu finally realized that he had been sent flying by the boy once more. By the time he got up from the ground, both sides of his face were swollen, and he looked like a true tiger's head. This time round, Monkey and the others did not laugh. They had fought countless battles, and were discerning. Naturally, they could tell that although the boy looked innocent and adorable, his combat strength was abnormally terrifying. There were not many demons of the same cultivation realm who could defeat Linghu. Although Linghu did not revert to his true form, and was not in his peak state, the boy was in human form as well. Interesting. Monkey smacked his lips, and a fighting spirit flashed through his eyes. The thing he loved the most in his life was fighting. Back when he first met Su Zimo, he stayed in that cave for half a year and fought almost every day. Now that he saw the boy's extraordinary combat strength, Monkey was itching for a fight as well. Little doll, Brother Monkey will play with you. Monkey grinned and tapped the ground with his toes, darting over with a malevolent aura. He reached out with his furry palm and grabbed towards the boy. The boy seemed to have noticed that the monkey was not weak. He put on a stern face and focused on dealing with it. Bang! 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 The boy and monkey exchanged 3 consecutive blows, and were not disadvantaged. Monkey had held back his strength, worried that he would injure the boy. However, as the two of them continued to clash head-on, the monkey's strength continued to rise. In the end, even after pushing it to its limits, it was still unable to force the boy back. Furthermore, Monkey could vaguely sense that the boy still had strength left. The monkey was fearless and delighted at the sight of prey. He no longer held back and unleashed all his strength to fight the boy. Whose kid is this? He's so powerful at such a young age. Qingqing was puzzled. One had to know that among the 7 brothers, the monkey's combat strength was ranked 3rd. He could even compete with the Dharma Daojun. How could this little kid be so powerful? Old 5, can you see anything? Qingqing glanced sideways and asked. Night Spirit pondered for a moment before saying, Peach trees are extremely powerful to begin with. In the primordial era, they were known as dragons subduing wood and ghost fear wood, Many races refer to them as immortal trees. It could subdue dragons, ward off evil and exorcise ghosts. Its strength was imaginable. So powerful. Ching Ching was secretly speechless. Cacao was puzzled and could not help but say, however, it's rare to see peach trees that are sentient in the demon region. Even if they are sentient, it's rare for them to be able to cultivate to this realm, let alone possess such immense combat strength. That depends on how the peach tree is sentient, Night Spirit said. What do you mean? Ching Ching and the others did not understand. Night Spirit explained. To put it simply, if the peach tree is sentient after a long period of evolution and the birth of the essence chi of heaven and earth, the power it can control is limited. Or it might gain sentience through a coincidence and step into cultivation. That's very normal as well. After pausing for a moment, Night Spirit continued. However, it's hard to say if it has the guidance of an expert to help it gain sentience. Expert? Ching Ching and the others asked instinctively. Night Spirit said. For example, if an immortal guided this peach tree and allowed it to gain sentience, it would mean that the Tao legacy of this peach tree came from that immortal. Once it steps into cultivation, its potential will be unimaginable. Ching Ching and the others understood. There were many similar legends in Tianhuang mainland. It was said that immortals of the upper world often cultivated on a green stone. Over time, the green stone gave birth to sentience and turned into a spirit. The cultivation of the green stone made it extremely strong and invincible. In that case, the person who guided this peach tree to gain sentience has an extraordinary background. Ching Ching speculated. Could it be a grand demon? Or an old demon? Grand demons were equivalent to conjoint body mighty figures. Old demons were equivalent to Mahayana patriarchs. Just as the crowd was discussing, a figure fell to the ground with a bang. In midair, the figure burst forth with blood chi once more, and barely managed to control its body. It landed on the ground and staggered 3 steps back. The one who was sent flying was Monkey. This time round, Ching Ching and the others were truly shocked. Even Monkey could not defeat this little boy. Night Spirit frowned slightly and murmured with a deep gaze. The person who guided this peach tree is probably much scarier than Mahayana patriarchs. Brother Monkey, don't worry, I'll help you. At the side, Ling Hu rubbed his swollen face and was about to lunge forward in a huff. Get back here, Ching Ching hollered. Aren't the two of you embarrassed to join forces against a child? Ling Hu blushed. He did not want to either, but he felt aggrieved. If news of him being beaten up by a child were to spread, he would not be able to survive in Howling Moon Mountain anymore. You bunch of bad guys. Come at me together. I'm not afraid. Right then the boy's childish voice sounded. F***CK. This time round, Ling Hu could not take it anymore. Ignoring Ching Ching's attempts to stop him, he charged forward and cursed. You brat, let's see how your grandpa who will deal with you. Count me in. The golden lion could not hold it in any longer, and wanted to join in the fun as well. Monkey, Ling Hu and the golden lion lunged forward. Trap. The boy conjured hand seals with both hands and hollered softly. Suddenly, tree branches grew out of thin air beneath the feet of Monkey and the other two, forming a cage that trapped the 3 of them within. The 3 of them released their methods one after another, but could not break out. Although the peach blossom tree branches were only as thick as a baby's arm, they were unusually tough and invulnerable to weapons, fire and water. Roar! Ling Hu and the golden lion reverted to their true forms. However, the golden lion's sharp claws could not sever the peach blossom tree branches. Ling Hu made use of the 4 incomparably sharp tiger claws that he had fused with previously, and managed to sever a few peach blossom tree branches. However, the tree branches were endless and filled in the gaps rapidly. Monkey's situation was not much better either. He summoned Imminent and broke a few tree branches. However, Qian Jun was entangled by the newly grown branches. Layer by layer, the roots were intertwined and the joints were intertwined. It was completely trapped. It was only at this moment that the boy revealed a smug expression. Waving his fists, he said crisply, "Baddie, now you know how strong I am." Chapter 1172. Ching Ching and Cacao exchanged glances, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Apart from his frightening combat strength, this boy was an innocent and adorable child, who did not know much about the world no matter how they looked at him. The golden lion had already given up in the peachwood cage, and was sprawled inside obediently. He finally understood that with his strength, there was no need for him to rush up. After Ling Hu reverted to his true form, he roared and barged left and right in the cage. However, he could not get out despite being exhausted. Ling Hu had given up as well. "Kid, you've won," Ling Hu said weakly. Monkey was motionless. There was no way he would admit defeat. There was no such thing as admitting defeat in his bloodline. However, Monkey was still conflicted. Could the berserk power in his bloodline be triggered because of this child? Once he entered a berserk state, he would become extremely dangerous. Apart from Ling Hu and a few of his closest brothers, he did not recognize anyone else. He had no rationality, and the only thing in his mind was to kill without any sense of propriety. Monkey was worried that he would injure the child in his berserk state. He could also tell that this child was kind-hearted, and did not have the savage and ferocious aura of other fiend demons. Instead, he gave off a scholarly feeling. It was a familiar feeling. However, Monkey could not recall it for the moment. However, if he did not use the berserk power in his bloodline, he would truly be subdued by this child. Ever since he obtained Imminent, he had not lost his weapon even when he was severely injured. But now, even Imminent was entangled by the intertwined tree branches, and was completely out of his control. This was unprecedented. He could not admit defeat. Monkey's eyes gradually flashed with a scarlet light. When she saw that, Ching Ching frowned slightly with a worried expression. She knew that Monkey's bloodshot eyes and berserk state was a terrifying existence that could not be controlled at all. Apart from the increase in speed and strength, Monkey's combat strength increased exponentially without feeling any pain. Just as Ching Ching was worried, the boy tilted his head slightly and exclaimed softly, as though he sensed something as well. "It's a little dangerous." The boy blinked and murmured softly. Although he hadn't exchanged blows with the monkey after it went berserk, he was extremely sharp and could sense a trace of danger. The boy pondered for a moment before changing the hand seal in his hand. He fired streams of magic power into the cage. Pink flower buds suddenly sprouted from the branches that were woven into the cage. Very soon, under the gazes of Ching Ching and the others, all the flower buds bloomed. The peach blossoms were tender and beautiful, emitting a faint fragrance that refreshed the heart. After being hit by the fragrance, Monkey felt his consciousness turn blurry. His eyelids gradually became heavy, and he felt drowsy. The bloody light in his eyes gradually faded. After persevering for a while, the monkey still couldn't hold on. With a plop, it fell into a deep sleep in the cage. Ching Ching was dumbfounded. Was this even possible? This boy was so intelligent that he didn't clash head-on with the monkey. Instead, he changed his train of thought, so that the monkey didn't have the chance to unleash his berserk power. Of course, the fragrance of the peach blossoms could make a monkey faint. It was indeed extraordinary. In that short period of time, Monkey, Ling Hu and the golden lion were suppressed by a mere child. Ching Ching pondered that nothing would change even if she and Cacao were to head up. They were invincible overlords of Howling Moon Mountain, and even caused a ruckus at the North Region Dao meet. To think that they would lose to a child in front of this inconspicuous Pingyang town. If the child was already so strong, what sort of person was the young master that the child mentioned? Of course, they were not completely defeated. At the very least, Night Spirit had yet to make a move. The moment that thought flashed through her mind, Ching Ching suddenly realized that Night Spirit had already vanished unknowingly. As though she thought of something, Ching Ching jerked her head up and looked in the direction of the boy. A figure silently appeared behind the boy. Like a ghost, the figure stared at the boy expressionlessly. All of a sudden, Night Spirit attacked. The boy seemed to have sensed something and darted forward. Ching! The shirt on the boy's arm was still torn by Night Spirit's fingertips, revealing an arm that resembled a lotus root. His skin was tender and fair with a faint trace of blood on it. Night Spirit exclaimed softly, and his gaze widened. Even most Dharma Daojun would not be able to dodge that attack of his. To think that the boy's senses would be so sharp. Of course he still injured the boy. Although the wound was extremely shallow, it was almost negligible. The boy looked at the wound on his arm, and felt aggrieved as his eyes welled with tears. Turning around, the boy clenched his tiny fists and glared at Night Spirit, shouting, "Baddie, you're hurting me." The boy was pure and innocent, and did not even know how to scold others. Even though he was injured by Night Spirit, and felt extremely aggrieved and angry, he merely shouted "Baddie." In his heart, there were only 3 types of people in this world: good people, bad people, and my young master. Night Spirit smiled after being reprimanded by the boy, and was not annoyed. All of a sudden, Night Spirit retracted his smile. His gaze landed on the boy's injured arm. In that short period of time, the wound on the boy's arm had already vanished without a single scar left. What strong regeneration capabilities! Night Spirit's heart skipped a beat. With such powerful self-healing abilities, it would not lose out to Zhang Xian at all. Just as Night Spirit's mind was wandering, the boy charged forward, and took a step forward. Leaning forward, he extended his arms from his abdomen and gripped his fists tightly. His index finger protruded slightly as he stabbed forward, and raised it slightly. Moo! At the same time, a stream of air spewed out from the boy's nose and mouth, forming a strange dull sound. Instantly, the boy's figure seemed to have vanished, and was replaced by a terrifying bull demon with horns that pierced the skies. Night Spirit felt that the move was familiar, and was filled with killing intent. He knew that it was powerful and did not take it head-on. Instead, his figure flashed and he vanished. Without hesitation, the boy changed his move and spun around. Protecting his chest with his left hand, he clenched his right fist, and his flesh expanded, forming a gigantic seal that smashed behind him. Bang! The fists collided. Night Spirit's figure was revealed. The boy's eyes lit up, and he changed his move once more. Opening his fist, it suddenly turned soft and landed on Night Spirit's palm, curling and trembling. Piak! The boy's palm landed in the void with a crisp sound. It missed. Stop fighting. Right then, Monkey's voice sounded. The boy could not divert his attention to control the cage in his battle against Night Spirit. Ling Hu and the Golden Lion broke free before long. Monkey woke up as well. The moment he woke up, he saw the boy turn around and use a move that he was most familiar with, Sanguine Ape Seal. A thought flashed through Monkey's mind, and he shouted hurriedly. The boy refused to stop and glared at Night Spirit angrily, shouting, "Baddie, don't run." However, Night Spirit did not move. He recognized the origin of the boy's moves as well. Just now, Monkey looked at the boy and asked in a deep voice, "Kid, is your young master surnamed Su?" How did you know?" The boy was stunned and asked curiously with widened eyes. Ching Ching, and the others gradually understood as well. Ling Hu had a gloomy expression as he rubbed his swollen cheek and grumbled, "Bloody hell, I got beaten up for nothing." Chapter 1173. When Ching Ching found out that the boy was related to Su Zimo, she was even happier, and took a liking to the boy the more she looked at him. "Serves you right." When Ching Ching saw how aggrieved Ling Hu was, she could not help but chide him jokingly. "Who asked you to bully a child? Big sister, have you seen such a ferocious child before?" Ling Hu rolled his eyes and frowned. Notwithstanding the fact that the boy suppressed the 3 of them, he was not disadvantaged even in a fight against Night Spirit. The Golden Lion exclaimed, "First is truly amazing. When did he groom such a monstrous child?" The boy was a little confused and could not help but ask, "You guys know my young master?" "We don't just know each other," Monkey grinned. "We're very close to your young master, and are sworn brothers. Your young master is our big brother." "Is that so?" The boy tilted his head and blinked, his black eyes darting around in a doubtful manner. Ching Ching asked curiously, "First didn't mention us to you?" When he heard that, a look of disappointment flashed through the boy's face. He lowered his head slightly and said softly, "No, young master only spoke to me twice." "How is that possible?" Ling Hu shook his head. "How did you know about those killing moves if First didn't talk to you much?" As he said that, Ling Hu gestured twice. Those moves. The boy shook his head. Young master didn't teach them to me. He didn't. Ching. Ling Hu and the others exchanged glances. They could see the confusion on each other's faces. In their impression, Su Zimo was the only one who knew about those killing moves. If Su Zimo did not teach them, where did the boy learn them from? First didn't teach you how to cultivate? Ching asked again. The boy shook his head. I've only seen the scene of young master breaking through to the core formation realm. Those moves, as well as some cultivation methods, have already been imprinted in my mind after I gained psychic connection. Strange, who else would know about those moves other than first? Ling Hu murmured. Monkey's heart skipped a beat, and a figure in blood-colored robes appeared in his mind. It's her, Monkey muttered softly. Only Monkey knew that other than Su Zimo, there was another person who knew these moves. And this mysterious woman, on a night over 100 years ago, had taught him a cultivation method of the ape clan, and then disappeared. The night spirit had once said that the stronger the source of the peach tree's intelligence, the greater the child's potential. Thinking about it this way, the one who helped this peach tree gain sentience was most likely that mysterious woman. No wonder this boy is terrifyingly strong. It turns out that he inherited the inheritance of that mysterious woman. Ching came to the side of the boy and squatted down, asking with a smile, How long has it been since I last saw your young master? More than 100 years, the boy said as he counted with his fingers. Then what did your young master say to you before he left? Ching asked again. The boy said seriously, Young master asked me to protect the people here. So you've guarded this place for over 100 years? Ching's eyes flashed with gentleness. The boy nodded vigorously and said, I've never left all these years. The citizens of Pingyang town have been living well as well. Yes, we've seen it. Ching nodded. For some reason, everyone felt as though a soft spot in their hearts was touched when they saw the boy in this state. Even Ling Hu's resentment towards the boy dissipated instantly. For the sake of a single sentence, this child shouldered the heavy responsibility of protecting the people here, without leaving at all. How many dangers and hardships had he experienced during this period of time? Some time ago, the North region experienced the calamity of the witchcraft goo. However, there were no signs of it being affected here. It must be because of the boy's protection. In fact, this child did not even know when it would come to an end. In fact, this child did not even know when he would be able to see his young master again. He merely remembered what his young master said to him before he left. He had been rooted here for more than 100 years. The boy seemed to have let down his guard against Ching and the others as he continued. By the way, I'll bear many peaches every year and distribute them to the grandpas and grannies in the town. After they eat them, they'll be able to live longer. Everyone was enlightened. It was no wonder why they saw so many elderly people with longevity in Pingyang town. It was because of this child's protection as well. Seems like the legend about the peach blossom tree is true, Night Spirit said. Legend has it that some of the immortal world's immortal peaches can increase one's lifespan by hundreds or even thousands of years after eating them. Of course, the boy was far from reaching that level. The fruits he bore could only increase the lifespan of mortals by dozens of years. That was the limit. There have been many bad people like us over the years, right? Ching asked with a smile. The boy nodded. Closer to them. The boy shook his head again and blinked his clear eyes to meet Ching's gaze. You guys are not bad. Those bad people are truly bad. Those bad people wanted to snatch things just because they were strong. They killed and bullied everywhere. However, they were all chased away by me. Chased away. Everyone was surprised. Ling Hu could not help but ask, You didn't kill those people? In their beliefs, they had to be ruthless towards their enemies and kill them all. There was no such thing as chased away. No, the boy shook his head. I don't know how to kill, and neither do I want to kill. Every life is precious, and I don't want to hurt them. These words were simply preposterous to the extreme in the ears of Monkey and the rest. If they had such beliefs, they could forget about surviving in the cruel world of demons and the cultivation world. However, at that moment, Monkey and the others did not mock or scoff. This child's heart was kind and pure. In his eyes, the world was beautiful and gentle as well. In his heart, every life was precious and worthy of respect. Monkey and the others did not want to destroy the beautiful world in the child's heart. This child was definitely an anomaly in Tianhuang mainland. Despite his strength, he had never killed anyone. Perhaps someone with such beliefs would not be able to survive in this cruel world. However, this child had their protection. He had Su Zimo's protection. If possible, they did not want the child's hands to be stained with blood. Monkey and the others did not know that it was not a coincidence that the boy had such beliefs. The sentience of the peach blossom tree originated from Daiyu. However, in reality, apart from itself, there was another life imprint in the life of the peach blossom tree. Zhui Feng, who died in the hands of perfected being Song Lang. It was also Su Zimo's favorite mount in the past. Back then, Su Zimo buried Zhui Feng's ashes under this peach blossom tree with immense grief. Daiyu witnessed the entire scene. That was the reason why he fused Zhui Feng's remnant soul into the peach blossom tree, and bestowed it with an immortal opportunity to gain sentience, and impart the Tao beneath the tree. Although the boy was transformed from the peach blossom tree, his consciousness still carried the imprint of Zhui Feng. Zhui Feng could not resist against the power of perfected being Jin Dan, and could deeply feel the pain and helplessness. Therefore, the boy did not want to hurt any life in his consciousness. It was also because of the imprint left behind by Zhui Feng that the peach blossom tree was sentient, and the boy was so reliant and trusting of Su Zimo. Chapter 1174. After the North Region Tao meet ended, the cultivation world of the North Region was not peaceful for a single moment. On the 5th of April, Tao being Araki Takashi challenged Tao Lord Xian Yu to a battle in the old capital of Yin country. Xian Yu accepted the challenge. Before the battle truly began, it was already the center of attention with a huge commotion. Firstly, the people on both sides were extremely special. One of them was Tao being Araki Takashi, known as the #1 monster incarnate in history. The other was a glass palace cultivator, Tao Lord Xian Yu. Both of them were quite famous. Most importantly, this battle was a battle between those of a higher cultivation level than themselves. This battle was definitely a life and death battle. Neither side could afford to lose. For a moment, the North region was in turmoil and countless sects and factions were paying attention to this battle with undercurrents surging. At the beginning of April, cultivators lingered around the old capital of Yin country. All the cultivators wanted to witness this unprecedented battle personally. I heard that the feud between Araki Takashi and Xian Yu started more than 100 years ago. That's right. This place was originally bustling and prosperous. It was because of Xian Yu's orders that this capital was reduced to ruins. Some cultivators stood on the ruins of the old capital and discussed the matter. Who do you think will win this battle? It's definitely Tao Lord Xian Yu, a cultivator commented. If it was an ordinary Dharma Daojun, Araki Takashi would definitely have a high chance of winning. However, I heard that Tao Lord Xian Yu is extremely strong and is ranked second among the Dharma Daojun of Glass Palace, second only to Tao Lord Glass. Tao Lord Glass was the titular disciple of Glass Palace. It was only because the titular disciple of this generation of Glass Palace was buried in the Tao inheritance ground and killed by Su Zimo that Tao Lord Glass was conferred the title. More than 100 years ago, Xian Yu was only a void reversion. Now that he's already cultivated to the Dharma characteristic realm, he's not someone easy to deal with. I believe that Tao Lord Xian Yu will win as well. Not necessarily. Another cultivator shook his head. I heard that many Dharma Daojun died in the hands of Araki Takashi at the North Region Tao meet. Over the past few days, the most discussed topic was the outcome of this battle. Look, the Glass Palace cultivators have appeared again. A cultivator pointed at the sky not far away and said, over the past few days, Glass Palace cultivators would descend near the old capital of Yin country, almost every day to investigate carefully. They're probably worried that Araki Takashi might have set up some trap set. Shaking his head Su Zimo Xian Yu's attention was sent. Since it's a fair battle, Why would desolate Marshall tamper with such matters? World's attention as more and more cultivators as attention. Su North's people of attention Dao was shocking, and was attention's attention. The Empress of Great Zhou, Ji Yaoxue, arrived with her personal troops. The old immortal crane of Ethereal Peak led her disciples to spectate as well. At the same time, a woman arrived outside the old capital of Yin country. Her black hair was like a waterfall, and her robes were as white as snow. She was extremely beautiful with fair skin and eyes. She could be said to be devastatingly beautiful. The white-robed woman gazed at the ruins in silence. Suddenly, a furry head popped out of the woman's embrace. A pair of tiny paws rubbed its sleepy eyes and asked in a daze, "Are we here?" "Yes," the white-robed woman replied. The little beast seemed to be invigorated as its head popped out, and looked in the direction of the old capital of Yin country. It was a fiery red little fox. "God is true, Jade, I was right, wasn't I? Young master hasn't forgotten about me. This time round, he's going to take revenge for me." The little fox said smugly, "There's nothing praiseworthy about delaying for more than 100 years. The white-robed woman said indifferently with disdain. The little fox frowned slightly and argued, "Young master is already very powerful. He's a major cultivation realm apart from Dao Lord Xianyu. God is true, Jade. You seem to be biased against young master?" The white-robed woman recalled the scene in the depths of the cave, and was flustered. Her cheeks flushed red as she grit her teeth, and did not continue. "No matter what, God is true, Jade, I've won this bet." The little fox said happily, "Young master has never forgotten about me, and will definitely protect me. Don't worry." The white-robed woman had a calm expression. "Let's talk about it after he wins this battle. The Dharma Daojun of Glass Palace isn't that easy to deal with. If he loses, it will prove that I'm right. This person doesn't have the ability to protect you, and you'll have to follow me from now on." In the palace of the old capital of Yin country, April 5th was approaching, and there was only a day left. As for Su Zimo, he was still cultivating in a dilapidated palace. He had been isolated from the outside world for the past few days, and his cultivation realm had not loosened. However, he was in no hurry. The more anxious he was, the more likely he would fall into a quagmire of cultivation and be unable to extricate himself. The Nianqi stood at the entrance and guarded day and night. A few days ago, Monkey and the others had arrived as well. Among them, there was a child in a white jacket. His eyes were pitch black, and he was intelligent. Monkey and the others knew that Su Zimo was at a critical juncture of his cultivation breakthrough, and did not barge in rashly, waiting outside. The night before the final battle, suddenly, two beams of light lit up in the pitch-black palace. They were Su Zimo's opened eyes. The aura within his body was rising continuously. Dermic powers surged into his body endlessly, forming vortexes that connected the heavens and earth. A long time later, the trend slowed down and stopped. He had broken through, perfected void reversion realm. Su Zimo could clearly sense that his essence spirit had truly become round and plump at this moment. There were no flaws from head to toe. Just at that moment, a bit of enlightenment surged into his mind. As though he had comprehended something, he closed his eyes in deep thought. It was only at daybreak that he opened his eyes once more, and pondered over what he comprehended last night repeatedly. Finally, a smile appeared on his face. When they sensed that Su Zimo was fine, Monkey and the others did not wait any longer, and entered the palace. "You guys are back." Su Zimo swept his gaze across Monkey and the others and said with a smile. All of a sudden, his gaze paused and landed on the face of a child in the middle of Monkey and the others. The child was looking at him as well. Although the child was trying his best to suppress it, Su Zimo could tell from the child's eyes the excitement and joy that came from the bottom of his heart. The child's appearance was unfamiliar. Su Zimo could guarantee that he had never seen him before. However, for some reason the child gave him a familiar feeling. Su Zimo looked at the child's pitch-black eyes and shuddered, as though he suddenly thought of something. He finally understood where the sense of familiarity coming from the boy had come from. That pair of eyes and gaze were almost identical to Zhui Feng. who had accompanied him throughout his growth. At the same time, Su Zimo saw the child's true form as well. In that instant he understood many things. Chapter 1175. Greetings, young master. The boy imitated the scholars of the mortal world and walked forward respectfully, cupping his fists towards Su Zimo. After the peach blossom tree gained sentience, the only person it came into contact with was Su Zimo. His words and actions would also imitate Su Zimo subconsciously, and he looked like an obedient and adorable little attendant. You've already cultivated to this realm? Su Zimo was slightly surprised. Ching Ching and the others exchanged glances and smiled, recounting everything that happened after they met the boy. When he heard that the boy was distributing the peaches to the elders of Pingyang Town to increase their lifespans, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. Why did you do that? Su Zimo already had a guess in his heart. However, he still looked at the boy and asked gently. The boy said, "More than 100 years ago, your kin passed away. When I saw how devastated you were, I thought that if I were to succeed in my cultivation, I would help the mortals in the town live longer." That day, Su Zimo watched Su Hong pass away under the tree in agony. The peach blossom tree witnessed everything. However, his cultivation was still shallow at that time, and he could not do anything. He could only shake the tree branches and grow some peach blossoms to comfort Su Zimo. "Come over." Su Zimo waved to the boy with a gentle gaze. The boy did not only have Zhui Feng's life imprint on him, there were also some traces of Daiyu. He had once witnessed Daiyu imparting the Tao. Although this was the first time Su Zimo saw the boy, he had an indescribable feeling towards him, and liked him a lot. "Bro, this child doesn't have a name yet. Give him one," Ching Ching said. Monkey grinned and said, "What name do you want? Learn from me. Just call yourself Peach." "That's too perfunctory." Ling Hu shook his head. "In my opinion, let's call him Tao Patian. It's as domineering as my Hubatian Hihi." "That's terrible." Ching Ching and the others frowned in disdain when they heard that. Even the boy's lips were pouting. Su Zimo muttered to himself for a while and said, "There is a saying in ancient poems. The peach blossoms shine brightly. 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 Why don't I call you Momo?" "All right." The boy smiled. At this moment, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat, as if he had sensed something. He slowly stood up and looked into the distance. His gaze seemed to be able to penetrate the endless void and land on a person. "They're finally here." Su Zimo's figure slowly rose into the air, passing through the dilapidated main hall. He stood in the air, riding the wind. On the eastern horizon, a cultivator was walking through the air. This person was dressed in a golden Taoist robe. His hands were behind his back and his face was as calm as still water. Every step he took in the void seemed to have been calculated precisely, without the slightest mistake. Tao Lord Xianyu. Having not seen him for more than 100 years, Su Zimo recognized him at a glance. At this time, the sun had just risen. Behind Tao Lord Xianyu, the morning sun emitted rays of golden light that illuminated the world and enveloped his figure as well. Tao Lord Xianyu seemed to be stepping on the glow with the sun on his back. Under the illumination of the glow, his face shone with a glass-like luster that could not be looked at directly. A massive aura surged over. When they saw that, the cultivators near the old capital were shocked. Even though they were watching from below, they could sense the unparalleled aura of Tao Lord Xianyu, as though he was one with the world. At the Dharma characteristic realm, one could condense a heaven and earth Dharma characteristic and borrow the power of the world. Their comprehension of the world had almost reached its peak. It was even more so for Tao Lord Xianyu. Even the surrounding cultivators felt waves of pressure. It was hard to imagine how Su Zimo would feel facing him head-on, as expected of the number 2 Dharma characteristic expert of Glass Palace. To think that he could accumulate such a massive aura. The patriarch of Stellar Luna sect lamented. As the patriarch of the upper sect, they were all Dharma Daojun who had been famous for a long time. It had only been 100 years since Tao Lord Xianyu entered the Dharma characteristic realm. However, he had surpassed many patriarch of the upper sect. As one of the immortal sects, Glass Palace naturally had its strengths. The Valley Master of Blaze Columbus Valley said, "Now that Dao Lord Xianyu has such capabilities, there shouldn't be any suspense in this battle." At the North Region Dao meet, Araki Takashi's trump cards have been completely exposed. Dao Lord Xianyu represents Glass Palace in this battle, and cannot afford to fail. He must have made full preparations. The Patriarch of Heavenly Piercing Sword Sect said. The moment Dao Lord Xianyu appeared, even some of the cultivators who were initially confident in Su Zimo wavered. Those were two completely different levels of power. Even some of the Dharma Daojun present could not resist against Dao Lord Xianyu's aura, let alone void reversions. However, to everyone's surprise, even when Dao Lord Xianyu arrived 100 feet away from Su Zimo's expression was still indifferent, and he did not take a single step back. It was as though Su Zimo could not feel any pressure against the situation. How was that possible? Araki Takashi, we meet again. Dao Lord Xianyu smiled gently. To be honest, I truly did not expect you to survive and grow to this extent. Unexpectedly, the two of them did not seem as hostile as everyone had imagined. Dao Lord Xianyu looked at Su Zimo with a relaxed expression, and no killing intent could be seen from him as he continued. I came here with the intention of giving you another choice. If you choose to join Glass Palace, the grudge between you and Glass Palace can be written off. After you join Glass Palace, the other sects won't dare to cause trouble for you anymore. The moment he said that, a commotion broke out in the crowd. Dao Lord Xianyu is here to express goodwill on behalf of Glass Palace? Glass Palace seems to be very sincere. Joining the Glass Palace can be said to be 100 benefits, with no disadvantages. Many cultivators discussed softly. As one of the 9 immortal sects, Glass Palace was a sacred cultivation ground that many cultivators yearned for. Who wouldn't want to join it? Only some patriarchs of upper sects and aristocratic families sneered internally when they heard that, and thought to themselves how vicious they were. How many Glass Palace cultivators had been killed by Su Zimo in the past 100 years? Even the titular disciple of Glass Palace was killed in the Dao inheritance ground. How could such a feud be written off just like that? Dao Lord Xianyu did not say that for Su Zimo to believe him. However, as long as Su Zimo's heart wavered, Su Zimo would have already lost this battle. At the very least, many cultivators in the crowd were tempted. These sect masters had lived for thousands of years, and even a single strand of hair was empty. What kind of schemes had they not seen before? In fact, they were certain that as long as Su Zimo's mind wavered, Dao Lord Xianyu would definitely seize the opportunity to attack. Xianyu, you don't have to waste your effort, Su Zimo said coldly with a mocking expression. The reason why I challenged you here today is to kill you. Even if you want to commit suicide, I won't allow it. He wouldn't even allow it. He wanted to kill Su Zimo personally. The smile on Dao Lord Xianyu's face gradually disappeared. It was frighteningly dark, and was soon filled with killing intent, revealing a menacing expression. Su Zimo walked towards Dao Lord Xianyu with a burning gaze and said slowly, I want to use your blood to sacrifice this land. Sacrifice my brother. Sacrifice my old friends in Yan country. Sacrifice all the innocent souls of the 13 cities of Yan country 100 years ago. With every sacrifice, Su Zimo's aura would increase by a notch. When the final sacrifice was made, Su Zimo's aura reached its peak, and he attacked brazenly. Chapter 1176. Su Zimo chanted Sanskrit, and the damning mantra burst forth. At the same time, Su Zimo conjured hand seals repeatedly, and almost instantly, 3 offensive damning dermic seals were conjured. The Fiend Suppression Seal, Demon Subduing Seal, and Immortal Trap Seal descended at the same time. In that instant, heaven and earth changed color, shaking heaven and earth. At the end of the firmaments, a sacred Buddhist light penetrated the clouds and illuminated the ground. 3 gigantic golden palms seemed corporeal, as they crushed down towards Dao Lord Xianyu, with the boundless might of heaven and earth. Su Zimo did not test the waters, and attacked with all his might. He had waited for this battle for too long. More than 100 years ago, he was almost helpless against Dao Lord Xianyu. But now, he was already standing opposite Dao Lord Xianyu. Is this the legendary lost ultimate skill of Daming Monastery? The combined power of the 3 dermic seals has already surpassed the limits of what some Dharma Daojun can withstand. Araki Takashi is only at the void reversion realm, but his dermic powers are so terrifying that he can channel the might of heaven and earth to form such a massive commotion. The 3 dermic seals descended and shone with the resplendent golden light, causing the air to turn dry. Dao Lord Xianyu did not move at all, as he looked at the golden palms that were suppressing down. A look of disdain flashed through his eyes as he hollered softly, "Scarlet Rainbow Sacred Slash." A dermic art condensed in Dao Lord Xianyu's palm. Following that, streaks of crimson light shot out from the center of his palm. They were densely packed and shot out in all directions. It was as though a blazing sun was crushed by Dao Lord Xianyu. Poof! 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 Beams of scarlet light collided with the golden palms, and after a brief stalemate, they corroded and penetrated the golden palms. In the blink of an eye, the 3 gigantic golden palms were riddled with holes and their light dimmed. "How dare you embarrass yourself with such petty tricks?" Dao Lord Xianyu sneered. Actually, all the cultivators present knew that there was a major cultivation realm difference between the 2 of them. The fact that Araki Takashi could fight Dao Lord Xianyu head-on, without being disadvantaged, was proof of the power of the dermic art. The patriarch of Dragon Tiger sect said indifferently, "It's a pity that this lad has yet to learn the complete Daming dermic seal. I heard that in the Daming seal, the last 2 seals are the most powerful. However, they have been lost for tens of thousands of years. It's normal that he doesn't understand." Blaze Columbus Valley's Valley Master said. The 2 spells had yet to truly dissipate. The dermic powers in the air still carried a powerful destructive force. However, Dao Lord Xianyu was fearless. Relying on his powerful physique, his figure flashed and he transformed into a streak of light, passing through the layers of dermic powers and speeding towards Suzumo. "He's here. He wants to kill Araki Takashi in close combat." The cultivators were shocked. Glass Palace was one of the strongest body-tempering super sects among the immortal, Buddhist and fiend sections. Legend has it that when the secret technique of his sect, the Glazed Heart Sutra, was cultivated to its limit, one's body would be comparable to Dharma treasures. It was indestructible, and could even wrestle with pure-blooded ferocious beasts. The strongest aspect of Glass Palace was their physique and bloodline. Everyone knew that Araki Takashi's body was crippled by a half-martial ancestor 10 years ago. Although he displayed immense strength after reconstructing his body at the North Region Dao Meet, he was still weaker compared to Dao Lord Xianyu. Suzumo understood that as well. Back then he was best at melee combat. Therefore he knew one thing the best. If Dao Lord Xianyu closed in on him, he would be in an extremely dangerous and passive situation. Swash! Lightning flashed on Suzumo's body, and a pair of gigantic wings grew from his back. He burst forth with speed and retreated rapidly, trying his best to distance himself. At the same time, he conjured another dermic art. Rumble! Boom! As his dermic art was formed, the skies were filled with dark clouds in the blink of an eye. It was frighteningly dark and lightning flashed. Purple thunderstorm. Suzumo pointed forward. Purple lightning descended on the ground one after another, as though it was tearing the void apart. Purple lightning coiled and formed a storm that connected the heavens and the earth, sweeping towards Dao Lord Xianyu. This was the power of a top-tier dermic art. It could cause the world to tremble and summon the wind and rain. Suzumo's attack did not stop. The dermic art in his hands changed once more, and a gigantic bolt of lightning condensed in the middle of the dark clouds. A bedazzling sea of lightning appeared above Dao Lord Xianyu's head. Endless power of thunder condensed into a single point and descended. Fury of thunder. Purple thunderstorm, fury of thunder. The top dermic arts of the Great Void Spirit Refinement section descended, and almost drowned Dao Lord Xianyu. The crowd was shocked. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have imagined that a void reversion, as such, could be released by a dermic art. Dao Lord Xianyu had a grim expression, as he chanted incantations one after another. Body like glass, clear both inside and out. Pure and flawless, indestructible. Suddenly, his body was shrouded in a mysterious glow. From head to toe, not a single inch of his body was left out. It was flawless and indestructible like glass. Even in the sea of lightning, it was difficult to shake it. Streaks of blazing lightning fell on his colored glaze real body, and immediately dissipated, disappearing without a trace. Su Zimo's expression was cold, and he was not surprised at all. He had no intention of severely injuring Dao Lord Xianyu with Purple Thunderstorm and Fury of Thunder to begin with. His true killing move was hidden within this mighty thunderbolt. Nobody noticed that there were dozens of inconspicuous green lotus seeds that resembled eternal sand floating in the bedazzling sea of lightning. The lotus seeds shone with a resplendent glow. However, they were masked by the blazing light of the thunder. Creation Qinglian suns. Right after Purple Thunderstorm and Fury of Thunder descended, Su Zimo's eyes shone coldly. His spirit consciousness moved and he said softly, "Slash." 54 Qinglian suns gathered rapidly and condensed into an exquisite Qinglian sword in the sea of lightning. The Qinglian sword emitted a terrifying aura that far surpassed the two thunderdermic arts. This was a killing sword that targeted the essence spirit. A single slash could sever an essence spirit. Even Dao Lord Xianyu's glass true body could not defend against it. The Qinglian sword descended almost at the same time as Fury of Thunder, and slashed down towards Dao Lord Xianyu's head. Dao Lord Xianyu, who was in the middle of the lightning, conjured his glass true body to defend against the thunder. All of a sudden, he felt an intense sense of danger. It was as though he was about to be in trouble the next moment. How could that be? Dao Lord Xianyu was confused. Although the power of the two thunderdermic arts was strong, he could definitely defend against them with his glass true body. Why did he feel such a sense of trepidation? At his cultivation realm, he had an extremely sharp sense for danger. It was like a sudden impulse, and could not be an illusion. Without time to think, Dao Lord Xianyu made a prompt decision. With a single thought, a black dermic weapon flew out of his consciousness and hovered above his head. Clang! At the same time, the sound of metal clashing could be heard. The azure lotus sword heavily chopped down on the black magical artifact, emitting a terrifying spiritual sense fluctuation that instantly suppressed the surrounding thunder and lightning. Fire-blocking basket. In the crowd, Little Fox exclaimed with widened eyes in the embrace of a white-robed woman. Chapter 1177. The black dermic weapon was like an inverted iron bowl with mysterious patterns carved on it, revealing 9 holes. Su Zimo's gaze narrowed. That black dermic weapon was the fire-blocking basket that Dao Lord Xianyu snatched from Little Fox more than 100 years ago. To think that the fire-blocking basket could defend against the killing power of Qinglian's sword. At that moment, the two dermic weapons collided. Qinglian's sword had already dispersed and transformed into 54 Qinglian seeds once more, returning to Su Zimo's consciousness. It was only then that the crowd reacted and burst into commotion. Araki Takashi is way too ruthless. He released a killing move against the essence spirit the moment he appeared. How dangerous! If Dao Lord Xianyu had reacted slower, he might have been killed by that slash. Dao Lord Xianyu felt a sense of lingering fear when he heard the discussions around him. Just now, his life was truly hanging by a thread. Dao Lord Xianyu could not help but smile as he held the fire-blocking basket in his palm. Araki Takashi, it's all thanks to this treasure that I was able to cultivate to this level in more than 100 years. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. Initially, he thought that Dao Lord Xianyu obtained some sort of fortuitous encounter to be able to cultivate to the Dharma characteristic realm in such a short period of time. So, it was because of the fire-blocking basket. If he was not wrong, that treasure should belong to Princess Yufei. It was not surprising that it possessed such power. Back then, I remember that this treasure was snatched from a fox, right? Dao Lord Xianyu could not hide the smugness in his eyes as he reminisced and laughed. To think that the fire-blocking basket is a rare utmost treasure. Ha ha ha. In the crowd, Little Fox clenched her tiny claws with a furious expression and glared at Dao Lord Xianyu angrily, wishing she could kill this person with her gaze. God is true, Jade, look at his face. It's so infuriating. The little fox rolled her eyes and said, God is true, Jade. He's the one who bullied me. Why don't you help me snatch this fire-blocking basket back? As though she could read the little fox's mind, the white-robed woman said with a fake smile. You want me to step in and help this young Master Su, right? No. Feeling a little guilty, the little fox whispered, I just want to get the fire-blocking basket back as soon as possible. Didn't you bet with me that this young Master Su could help you get it back? In that case, I'd better not interfere. I'll just wait here and see the results, the woman in white said indifferently. The little fox pouted and didn't say anything else. Today is just the right day. I'll let you have a taste of the might of this fire-blocking mantle. On the battlefield, Dao Lord Xianyu charged toward Su Zimo once more and threw the fire-blocking basket in his hands, enveloping Su Zimo. Quick! Dao Lord Xianyu hollered softly and released a stream of dermic powers from his fingertip that entered the fire-blocking basket. Whoosh! The fire-blocking basket expanded against the wind and spun. Almost instantly, it descended above Su Zimo's head. Su Zimo's expression froze. The fire-blocking basket belonged to Princess Yufei, and he did not dare to let it buckle down. Su Zimo slapped his storage bag and took out a grayish-black mountain. It was the ancient unique treasure, the Mystic Magnet Mountain. He wanted to make use of the power of the Mystic Magnet Mountain to restrain the fire-blocking basket. However, after the Mystic Magnet Mountain descended, the fire-blocking basket did not budge at all. Not good. Su Zimo's heart sank. The fire-blocking basket was made of metal. However, in Tianhuang mainland, there were some rare metal materials that were not attracted by the Mystic Magnet at all. In other words, the Mystic Magnet Mountain had no effect on the fire-blocking basket. In a battle of this level, a single mistake in judgment could cause one to be disadvantaged or even die. A huge shadow loomed over. Instead, a powerful suction force was emitted from the center of the fire-blocking basket, forming a domain that Su Zimo could not break free from. As for Dao Lord Xianyu, he had already seized the opportunity to charge forward. Instantly, the situation was reversed. Su Zimo was in immense danger. Your Highness, hurry and attack. Little Fox was anxious and hurriedly urged. Just retract the fire-blocking basket and leave the rest to young master. The white-robed woman was unmoved and shook her head. He was the reason why the fire-blocking basket was lost. It's only right for him to retrieve it personally. Furthermore, he was the one who challenged Xianyu. What's the point of me interfering? If he can't even get through this, how is he going to protect you in the future? Go. Right then, a soft shout sounded from the battlefield. A green lotus platform flew out from Su Zimo's consciousness. 6 petals bloomed, and a resplendent glow filled the air as it collided fiercely against the fire-blocking basket. Creation Lotus Platform. The 2 dermic weapons collided with a deafening bang. The fire-blocking basket wanted to envelop it, but the Creation Lotus Platform was below and resisted the fire-blocking basket tightly. The 2 dermic weapons were locked in a stalemate for a moment. However, that single delay allowed Dao Lord Xianyu to close in. His blood chi surged, and he threw a punch that shone brightly with an incomparably violent aura. Su Zimo could only retaliate with a punch of his own. Bang! The fists collided. The collision of flesh against flesh, bone against bone, emitted a sound that caused one's teeth to ache. Dao Lord Xianyu's blood chi was clearly much stronger and suppressed Su Zimo completely. Ugh! Su Zimo grunted and took half a step back. Dao Lord Xianyu strode forward and pressed his hands against his chest, descending as though he was hugging a gigantic mountain. He hollered, "Mountain hugging fist." A terrifying power arrived with the embrace of a mountain. At that moment, all techniques were futile. Su Zimo raised his arms and blocked upwards. Boom! Su Zimo shuddered and a violent power surged into his body. His organs trembled, and his blood chi surged as his teeth ached. His figure was sent flying. He was forced into melee combat in the end. Araki Takashi's reconstructed body is still a little weak. If Dao Lord Xianyu finds an opening, He's probably going to be beaten to death. That's right. Given Dao Lord Xianyu's combat strength, he won't give Araki Takashi any chance to retaliate. The crowd discussed when they saw that. In reality, it was not that Qinglian's true body was not strong enough. With the nourishment of the primordial divine spring, Qinglian's true body was already rather strong, and could crush those of the same cultivation realm. If Dao Lord Xianyu was at the Void Reversion realm, Su Zimo was absolutely confident that he could fight head-on against Qinglian's true body without being disadvantaged. However, the bloodline of Qinglian's true body was relatively ordinary. Now that he had encountered Dao Lord Xianyu, who was at the Dharma characteristic realm, the difference in strength was naturally much weaker. However, although he was at a disadvantage, there was no hint of panic on Su Zimo's face. The lotus stem was the bone, and the lotus leaves were the skin. Coupled with the fusion of many ancient dermic weapons, it would not be easy for Dao Lord Xianyu to severely injure Qinglian's true body. Su Zimo was still waiting for an opportunity. Dao Lord Xianyu strode forward like a maggot, and did not give Su Zimo a chance to open up a distance. 1,000-ton finger. Dao Lord Xian, you released another terrifying melee combat technique. His finger was filled with blood qi, and surrounded by light as it smashed towards Su Zimo. How was that a finger? It was practically a divine pillar that pierced through the firmaments. How could a body of flesh and blood defend against such power? However, right then, Su Zimo narrowed his eyes as a warning flashed through his mind. Danger! It was even more terrifying than the 1,000-ton finger. Chapter 1178. Suddenly, a mysterious glow appeared in Dao Lord Xianyu's eyes. They were like two crystal-clear gems that were even brighter than the stars in the night sky. Glass Eye. Glass Palace's legacy visual technique. The power of that visual technique was extremely great. Back in the Dao inheritance ground, Su Zimo had witnessed it when he fought Dao Being Glass. At that time, he had the illumination stone hidden in his right eye, and released the illumination sword formation to break through Glass Eye. But now, the illumination stone was in the dragon's true bodies. Although Qinglian's true body had also cultivated a visual technique of the fiend's sections. However, the heavenly fiend eye focused on bewitching one's mind, and did not possess such pure power. The light emitted by Glass Eye was extremely terrifying. Even Dao Lord dermic weapons could be corroded and crystallized, turning into scrap metal. If Su Zimo were to deal with it with his heavenly fiend eye, his eyes would be blinded. Glass Eye and 1,000-ton finger burst forth at the same time, pushing him into the most dangerous situation. Visual techniques were released instantly. Coupled with the fact that the two of them were extremely close, it was impossible to defend against. Furthermore, Dao Lord Xianyu's cultivation was a major cultivation realm higher than Su Zimo's to begin with. Su Zimo had a calm expression. Against the incoming 1,000-ton finger that was like a divine pillar, Su Zimo made a prompt decision and extended his left hand to defend. At the same time, he closed two fingers on his right hand and conjured a sword art. He placed his sword fingers in front of him and slashed forward 3 times. Heaven-slaying sword art. 3 heaven-slaying sword chi burst forth at the same time and faced the brilliance of Glass Eye. They went against the momentum and slashed towards Dao Lord Xianyu's face. 3 streaks of dazzling sword chi burst forth. Dao Lord Xianyu felt his vision turn white, and his expression changed. Boom! The first sword chi collided with the glazed pupil light, resulting in a loud explosion. The sword chi dispersed, and the glazed pupil light instantly shattered. Immediately after, the second and third sword chi descended at the same time, and they carried boundless murderous intent as they surged over. This was almost Su Zimo's strongest killing technique. 3 heaven-slaying sword chi was the limit he could release at the moment. The fact that the two of them were extremely close meant that Dao Lord Xianyu had no room to dodge. Not to mention 2 strands of sword chi. Even if 1 strand of sword chi slashed at his face, his head might be chopped into 2. In a flash, Dao Lord Xianyu flicked his tongue, and spat out an ancient mirror the size of a fingernail in front of him. At the same time, he bit the tip of his tongue and dripped a drop of blood essence onto the ancient mirror. The ancient mirror expanded rapidly and shone with the brilliance of dermic patterns. A perfect Downlord artifact. The moment the ancient mirror descended, the other two heaven-slaying sword chi slashed down viciously as well. Clang! The first sword chi entered the ancient mirror and disappeared. The ancient mirror vibrated. Downlord Xianyu's pupils contracted. He could clearly see fine cracks appearing on the back of the ancient mirror. This was a perfect Downlord artifact. However, it was cracked by a dermic art released by a void reversion. Clang! The third sword chi descended and entered the ancient mirror. It was as if the world had come to a standstill. In the next moment, the ancient mirror exploded. A perfect Downlord dermic weapon was shattered by two sword chi. Countless shards flew everywhere. Downlord Xianyu stood behind the ancient mirror, and many shards struck him. As though he had suffered a heavy blow, Downlord Xianyu fell heavily into the ruins. At the same time, on the other side, the 1,000-ton finger had already collided with Su Zimo's left palm. Bang! Su Zimo shuddered, and a terrifying and violent power surged into his body, causing his bones to tremble. Streaks of blood appeared on the flesh of his left arm, and his sleeve exploded instantly. His body fell from midair as well. Just as he was about to fall to the ground, he stabilized himself and stood on the ruins. If not for the fact that they were nourished by the primordial divine spring beneath the 10,000 Gu swamp, Qinglian's true body might have been severely injured from just now's collision. Right now he was only slightly injured. Compared to Su Zimo's condition, Downlord Xianyu looked much more miserable. Downlord Xianyu crawled up slowly from the ruins as well. He was covered in dust and his face was pierced by many mirror shards, dripping with blood and looking extremely menacing. Under countless gazes, Downlord Xianyu channeled his blood qi, and the muscles on his face twitched. The shards that were initially pierced into his face retreated bit by bit under the pressure of his muscles and bloodline, falling off his face slowly. In the blink of an eye, there was not a single shard on his face, leaving only wounds. Such powerful muscle control was an eye-opener for everyone. This was a sign that one's body and bloodline had been cultivated to their limits. The two of them exchanged blows for a short period of time. However, both of them used killing moves frequently, and any mistake could result in death. Look, a cultivator pointed at the two dermic weapons in midair, the fire-blocking basket and creation lotus platform. The cultivators turned towards the source of the voice. In midair, the two Dharma artifacts were still wrestling with each other, devouring light and multicolored light, constantly devouring each other. How terrifying! To think that the two of them can still divert their attention to control their dermic weapons in such a high intensity and continuous battle. The battle between the fire-blocking basket and the creation lotus platform would affect the entire battle situation. Neither of them dared to be careless. Araki Takashi, you must be disappointed that those three sword chi failed to kill me, right? Suddenly Downlord Xianyu laughed. Su Zimo's expression was cold as he remained silent. He was indeed surprised that the three heaven-slaying sword chi failed to kill Xianyu at such a close distance. But to say that he was disappointed, it couldn't be said. When Downlord Xianyu saw Su Zimo's silence, he thought that he had guessed correctly and walked forward slowly, shaking his head. Araki Takashi, you've lost. The moment you revealed all your trump cards at the North Region Dao meet, you were already defeated. In order to deal with your trump cards, I was already prepared. How are you going to win? Su Zimo was unmoved and merely sneered. Xianyu, I have too many killing moves. Let's see how many you can take on. Before he finished his sentence, Su Zimo touched his glabella gently and opened his consciousness. Immediately after, he yanked his palm outwards viciously and pulled out a long whip that shone with lightning arcs from his consciousness. Spirit Vanquishing Whip. The essence spirits of the surrounding cultivators shuddered when the Spirit Vanquishing Whip descended. If I'm not wrong, that's an essence spirit secret skill from the ancient era. To think that this lad would have obtained it and cultivated it successfully. Pust! The power of Araki Takashi's essence spirit has probably surpassed most Dharma Daojun. How did this lad cultivate his essence spirit? The appearance of the spirit-vanquishing whip shocked many upper-sex patriarch and aristocratic family leaders present. Even they had reservations against the spirit-vanquishing whip and did not dare to take it head-on. We really can't let him continue growing. If he enters the Dharma characteristic realm, all the upper-sex and aristocratic families of the North region will have to bow down to him. The patriarch of Dragon Tiger sect lamented internally. Chapter 1179. Crack. Su Zimo waved the spirit-vanquishing whip and whipped it towards Dao Lord Xianyu. Dao Lord Xianyu did not stop in his tracks and continued sprinting towards Su Zimo, wanting to close the distance between them and fight Su Zimo in melee combat. Piak! The spirit-vanquishing whip whipped Dao Lord Xianyu viciously. Ugh! Dao Lord Xianyu grunted and paused for a moment. His muscles trembled and he spasmed. The power of the spirit-vanquishing whip was even more terrifying than he had imagined. He knew that this was a secret skill that targeted the essence spirit. Therefore, in his consciousness, a massive spirit consciousness had already condensed around his essence spirit to form a shield. He wanted to defend against the whip of the spirit-vanquishing whip and make use of the opportunity to close into Su Zimo. However, his spirit consciousness shield was almost shattered by a single whip from the spirit-vanquishing whip. At this rate, his spirit consciousness shield would be destroyed by the spirit-vanquishing whip before he could even get close to Su Zimo. A fight between essence spirits was way too dangerous. Dao Lord Xianyu still wanted to drag Su Zimo into melee combat and crush the latter to death with his powerful physique and bloodline. Unfortunately, Su Zimo would not give him the chance. He summoned the spirit-vanquishing whip and waved it from afar. In the void, lightning blazed and destroyed the world. I'm not afraid of an essence spirit fight either. Seeing that he could not get close, Dao Lord Xianyu had a menacing expression as he growled and released his essence spirit secret skill without hesitation. Whoosh! Rainbow lights shone from Dao Lord Xianyu's glabella in a bedazzling manner. A rainbow divine light burst forth and collided fiercely with the spirit-vanquishing whip. The two essence spirit secret skills clashed head-on. There was no earth-shaking sound. Everything was silent. However, the void where the two essence spirit secret skills collided collapsed, distorted and trembled continuously. A terrifying spirit consciousness fluctuation spread suddenly, forming a visible ripple that spread in all directions. The crowd was shocked. The cultivators at the front retreated one after another, afraid that they would be affected by the spirit consciousness ripples. The shockwaves created by the collision of the two essence spirit secret skills were shocking and were enough to kill all the void reversions present. The deity vanquishing whip and the seven-colored divine light also disappeared. The essence spirits of Su Zimo and Dao Lord Xianyu were shaken, and their faces were pale. Ha 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 ha. Dao Lord Xianyu closed in once more and laughed. Araki Takashi, what other killing moves do you have? Use them all and broaden my horizons. In reality, Su Zimo knew another essence spirit secret technique. That was the Tathagata Dharma seal of Buddhism. However, the essence spirit secret technique was too taxing on one's essence spirit. Right now, he had expended a lot of his essence spirit by releasing dharmic arts and secret skills consecutively. If he could not kill Dao Lord Xianyu after releasing that secret skill, he might be exhausted to death. Before he could think further, Dao Lord Xianyu had already closed in once more. Whoosh! Su Zimo's eyes lit up as he continuously changed his hand seals. Suddenly, 3 balls of flames appeared beside him. Crimson in color, the immortal sect Dao Fire. Golden Buddhist Dao Fire. Black Fiend Dao Fire. The 3 balls of flames burned furiously, as though they would never be extinguished. The temperature of the ruins rose suddenly. Normally speaking, every single Dao fire was extremely terrifying. However, Dao Lord Xianyu did not seem to be able to sense it. He strode forward and burst forth with blood qi, extending his palm and suppressing Su Zimo viciously. Dao Lord Xianyu's body was way too strong. The 3 Dao fires could not harm him at all. Enveloped by his blood qi, the 3 Dao fires even showed signs of extinguishing. Su Zimo's expression was unchanged as his eyes flashed coldly, and his hand seals changed once more. Under his guidance, the 3 Dao fires suddenly collided and formed a 3-colored flame. Dao Lord Xianyu's expression finally changed. When the 3 flames separated, he could not feel anything. He only felt a burning pain on his skin that was still bearable. However, after the 3-colored flame descended, his fur was already burning. Right then, Su Zimo touched his glabella gently and condensed another essence spirit fire. He injected it into the 3-colored flame and said coldly, "Burn." The Kacharati Dao fire descended. The temperature of the entire old capital of Yan country rose. The ruins, buildings and dilapidated walls around the 2 of them had already begun to melt, forming fiery red lava that flowed slowly. At this distance, Dao Lord Xianyu could not dodge at all, and was enveloped by the Kacharati Dao fire, causing flames to surge into the skies. The surrounding cultivators retreated once more, distancing themselves from the battlefield. It's this flame. Back in the Dao inheritance ground, Diyin died to this 4-colored flame. What terrifying flames! They're practically burning the heavens and boiling the seas. To think that this battle would reach this stage. Is Dao Lord Xianyu finished? The cultivators stared at the battlefield with stirred hearts. On the battlefield, the human-shaped fireball was motionless, as though it was burned to death. However, the upper patriarch and aristocratic family leaders present could sense weak life fluctuations within the flames. Dao Lord Xianyu was not dead yet. Not only was he not dead, his spirit consciousness was still controlling the fire-blocking basket and restraining the creation lotus platform. Is this your final trump card? Dao Lord Xianyu's voice suddenly sounded from the flames with a chilling, killing intent. He's not dead. Su Zimo narrowed his eyes. No matter how strong the glass true body was, it could not withstand the burning of the Kacharati Dao fire. Araki Takashi, I told you can't beat me. Suddenly the human-shaped fireball moved. Under the illumination of the flames, Dao Lord Xianyu's figure was revealed once more. His hair and flesh were charred. However, there was a terrifying power nurturing within his body that defended against the corrosion of the Kacharati Dao fire. Let me tell you right now, all your methods are nothing in front of me. Dao Lord Xianyu roared, and the power in his body burst forth with an extremely terrifying aura. A phantom soared into the skies and the entire world trembled. It's a heaven and earth dharma characteristic. A series of exclamations sounded from the crowd. The cultivators looked up instinctively. 30 feet, 50 feet, 80 feet. The heaven and earth dharma characteristic only stopped when it was 80 feet tall. Pust. The crowd was moved and their minds were shaken. The taller a heaven and earth dharma characteristic was, the stronger it was. Generally speaking, anyone who could conjure a dharma characteristic that was 60 feet tall was already considered a paragon. Most of the patriarch and aristocratic family leaders present had heaven and earth dharma characteristics that were more than 60 feet tall. Those who could conjure a dharma characteristic that was 70 feet tall were peerless paragons that were hard to come by in 1,000 years. No one knew how many opportunities and fortuitous encounters were required for one to be born. As for a heaven and earth dharma characteristic that was 80 feet tall, it was definitely a monster incarnate. Such monster incarnates could only be born from the immortal, Buddhist and fiend sections. As expected of a glass palace cultivator, how terrifying. The number 1 of the previous dharma characteristic rankings only had heaven and earth dharma characteristics that were 80 feet tall. The heaven and earth dharma characteristic that was 80 feet tall had a torrential aura. Looking down from above, it was like a divine being that had descended from the heavens and was unparalleled. In the face of this heaven and earth dharma characteristic, the cultivators below were insignificant like ants. 1, 2, 3, 7 divine lights. The patriarch of Dragon Tiger sect counted and said in a deep voice, "This is Glass Palace's legacy dharma characteristic, the glass dharma body. When cultivated to the extreme, it's the current rainbow glass body." You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.